Peace. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Great to see you.
Hi, we are on, and it is Monday. I'm always so confused. Yes, it's Monday. It's Monday, folks. It's Monday. It's 15th of April. It's Monday, and we are live on our regular time at 7 p.m. Eastern, as always, every Monday here. And today is an interview, as Joey said, a door crasher. That's right. We're going to have the Sean Ward from the Sean Ward Show on.
That's right, guys.
He's amazing. He's Canadian. Of course, he's amazing.
We're proud of him for it, guys. We are proud for him. And a lot of you have probably seen these videos. They've been shared all over. You know, the more I was looking, the more I was thinking about it. I was thinking how many times people have sent me his videos to check out, and whether you're in the comic scene or not, it's the humor into them and stuff like that. Here he is here, and here's like his biggest viewed video to date: 480,582,618 views. That's his biggest view to date. So he's almost at 2 billion in all.
Yeah.
So
he has 3.4 million subscribers and growing, and it's almost 2 billion views on his videos. And I mean, he has been on YouTube forever. His the oldest post is from 2006 that I found, but who knows? Maybe there's something older than that either. He is a veteran on YouTube. He knows how to make it done, and he has done it all by himself. It's amazing. We want to know. We want to know how. So that's following up just in a little bit of time.
Definitely, guys. So whether you're into the comics, the comedy, all that stuff, you know what? You're just a YouTube looking for a couple of tips or tricks along the way. It's going to be all available here. You know, this is where you learn from people who've been through the grunge for a long time, 2010. You know, and I mean, what a better person to get advice from? So, doing something right with that size, one video, like I say, almost 500 million views, guys.
Yes.
Almost 500 million views.
Yes, and his videos have been shown in more than 29 countries all across the world, across the ocean. He and his team is traveling all throughout the cities on different Comic-Cons, Toronto Comic-Con as of late as well, and doing a real life scenes in the cosplay superhero characters, which I think is so cute.
Yeah, no, I knew. I go with the cute part. I was with her for a while, and then of course Xenia took a left, where I'd take a right.
Well, it is fun.
Nonetheless,
it's cute. It looks cute for me, but it is amazing, guys, and the production value that it all started with him as a one-person show. Still, the Sean Ward Show with the same name. Nothing has changed with that, but now he has amazing team of actors helping him as well.
Sorry, I was watching one today that I hadn't seen before, and this thing was just cracking me up. And it's a superhero Christmas party. And it's freaking amazing, and it's just like any other office party, but done to all the Marvel superheroes and that. Spider-Man's in there. Batman is still trying to get kissed by mistletoe and that. It was unbelievable. I laughed my ass off literally at it. It was so hilarious. So one of the many to check out. Grow together and dreams will come true. How
Thank
true
you
is
so
that?
much.
Thank you so much,
Brandon. Thank you.
Hope you're having a fantastic night tonight. So guys, there is going to be a lot here for anybody into YouTube, folks. I mean, inspiring words, advice, all about his genre, people he's met along the way. He's rubbed boots with some pretty important people. So it's going to have it all. You're not going to want to miss a moment. I want to thank Joe and everybody for all the kind words so far about tonight. Glad you guys are here to enjoy it. It's just gonna be nothing but info. Definitely, these are the kind of things that a lot of people pay and go on summits to listen to.
Oh yeah.
You know, really, that's what it is. Like when you hear about VidCon and all this stuff, this is what people are going to hear: is stories from people like Sean. You're getting it free for tonight. How better can it be?
I think Sean has been way ahead of his time when he started. A little bit of Kids in the Hall vibe.
Oh yeah, and Tom Green.
Tom Green, and also was being a step ahead of everybody in the way he was doing his shows and live streaming before anybody really started their live streams as show.
Yes.
Well, that's all coming up. We're all jumping ahead, guys. We're gonna, as always, do a little bit of house cleaning here. Shout you out, each and every one of you, to say hi and thank you for coming at the beginning of our stream, and prompt you to like and share, especially today. We please appreciate if you can, and if you're new, please hit that subscribe button somewhere down below and hit the bell so you know when we're on next. Although we're here 6 times a week from Sunday to Friday at 7 p.m. exceptions on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and all of that is available in our about section and in description of this video below as well.
There, I'm just knocking some bugs out while you're talking, so you're doing good. Keep on. You're doing great. Yeah.
Well, I also wanted to remind you about hashtag Blue Ridge Group Selfies, our tradition as every night here. If you want to post your selfie, or even better, a selfie of you watching us on social media, and if it's on Twitter with a hashtag Blue Ridge Group, we're going to be sharing it off on our screens right here as a special shout out, and for you to be able to connect not only on YouTube but also on Twitter and to see your beautiful faces. By the way, if you were here before our stream started, you've seen some of those beautiful faces featured in our intro now, so that's where you get a double shout out, so to say. Which
that's all going to be redone very soon, guys. That's in the midst of it. Just real life is kicking in a lot, but we are going to get there.
Excuses.
I hate when she says that. I swear to God, I could cut the stream. That's not excuses. That's real life answers.
It is great as it is, I find.
It is. It's not. That's why it's killing my computer right now. That's why I'm trying to close it this way. I'm learning as I go.
Andrew's doing the roll call, and
I am. Okay, I thought I was closing this stuff. Okay, I was hoping you were talk. You're doing great. I'm trying to get this closed up here.
And well, I see here 7 Lux Ferry. Coffee music is here, and animated adventures. If you like anything that is comic books, comics, animation, superheroes, Avengers movies coming up in just 10 days time. If you're a fan of that, I'm sure you have your ticket already pre-purchased and very excited about that. 3B Production is here. Rick Halber, hello. Mr. Doughboy, hello, and welcome here. Jenny O'Brien here. Jackie Haru, welcome. That was a pleasure of ours to do a raid yesterday. That was so much fun. She was playing with her Echo or Google or Amazon. I mixed them all up. The one that answers you with the voice. Amazon something. Alexa. We were playing with Alexa and Siri at the same time, so that was a lot of fun yesterday.
Okay, I think I'm getting some things fixed now. It's starting to come back. We almost froze and lost our live stream, that's why. So.
And Joyce McGuire is here, and Sean Madden, hello. Helen Casey, hello, guys. Hello, each and every one of you. Just a reminder again, hit that like and share it out. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, personal messages, email, Telegram, whatever suits you. Just share it out.
That's right, guys. We have a great guest tonight, and it's great for everybody in here. Like I say, you're not going to want to miss this, and help get him as much coverage as possible. Not that he doesn't need it with his own channel, but you know what? For his generous with his time to come and join us tonight, take some questions, talk. Let's do it for him, guys. Get them messages out, tweet them out, tell friends, all that good stuff. We really truly do appreciate it. This is going to be inspiring and some. Yeah, exactly, Jackie. You don't want to say the SIRI word louder. I get you. We'll try not to set it off for you. In the meantime, guys, like Xenia said, it's just about time to call it all your names to say a great big thank you for being here tonight. And as also she had said earlier, don't forget, guys, about the Blue Wrench Group selfies. Hashtag Blue Wrench Group. Please make sure to include it so everybody can see you. You guys are awesome. A selfie of you watching us, and you can't do that. A selfie of you. Maybe you got merch and stuff like that you want to show off. There's a good place to promote. Feel free. Love seeing it. So let's get going, guys, and say some hellos here.
I just wanted to say a special thank you to the person that just came in, the early kit in. Because thanks to her, we have our guest for tonight. She was the one that connected us on Twitter, just randomly asking him if he would like to appear on Live with Pusa. I thought it was so daring.
I think that is so cool.
But yes, thanks to the early kit in, you're going to be able to see and talk to our guest tonight. So thank you so much. Go check out the early kitten. She's so amazing, shouting us everywhere all the time. Such a great supporter. And yes, guys, it's you oftentimes who are suggesting and even connecting us with our guests here.
Big night on the plate. That's right, Joe. It is definitely a big night on the plate, and it's great to have all you guys here as supporters. And like Xenia said, you know, you guys are thanking us by times for stuff we've done. You have to understand when we say it, we mean it. Without you guys, none of these opportunities would happen. You guys make everything happen for us. So lots and lots of love to you. And with that said, time to show some love here. Let's throw on the echo and start passing some love around by celebrating all you amazing people here in the chat. I want to say a great big hello to, yo, it's your boy Leo's in the house. West Haven, always and forever. Tariq's Eating Show is here. Tyler Stone. True North Angler. TR Nyrexi. Nairi X. I'm so bad on that one, but it's great and awesome to have you in here. True North Angler, I did already. Some Discoveries in the house. Timmy Turner, once again, a huge thanks to the early kit in. The Art of Read is in the house, folks. Shawana Madden is here. Scratch and Surf is here. Riley Finchfield's Food Reviews. Rick Halliburton, how are you doing? Great to see you in here as well. RCDP is in the house. Old Car Auto Guys in the house. Octay Doggan. Mystic Angel Christina. Mr. Doughboy 356. How are you? Michelle Hallmark is in the house. Mega Chan is in the house. And Marcel Harding Art all the way from down under. Great to see you. Lou Rock is in the house. How you doing tonight, Lou Rock? Good to see you. Lord Brandon is in the house as well. Queenie Todd is here, guys. Queenie Todd and Paula from Just Living. Joyce McGuire is here. John DiNardo, great to see you. Jenny O'Brien. JD97 is in the house, folks, as well as JCT Outdoors. Jackie Hutter Food Reviews, great to see you. Enjoyed the raid last night, being over there. J&R Guide Service, Coors Deer Hunting, welcome. Great to see you again. It's a Wonderful Fowls Life. How are you? Into the Maze. Helen Casey, how you doing? Happy Lux. I had to turn my monitor. Sorry, guys. It's hard to see here. That might help. Granny Josie's in the house. Welcome. We got Good Cemeteries Gone Bad as well. Jelly's Journeys in here. Flash in Your Pan. Elena Life Designs is in the house, as well as Eileen Vellier the Fan. And our buddy also that's from the same as our guest from Toronto, A. Joe is in the house, as well as Double J Vision is here. Dominique Williams is here, great to see you. Depew Family 5 is in the house. Coffee Music as well, and Chalky Orange is here from across the pond. Chills TV, Bros in Paradise, how you doing? Animated Adventures, 7 Lex Ferry, 3B Production Co. Welcome to each and every one of you. Please, everybody that we've missed your name, say hi, highlight our name, so we can definitely give you an arena-sized welcome as well. It's great to have you here. We got the Walker fam in the house. We got It's a Watson, yes, honey, in the house. Who else am I missing?
The Huntsman, It's Wonderful's live. Flash in Your Pan, right on time. Yesterday you were right at the end. Walker fam is our past guest as well. 7 Lux Ferry, Queenie Todd, Chalky Orange. I'm probably doubling up here, but
Madam
that's okay.
Pango is in the house. Millie's TV is in the house. Chef Disaster.
Just Being Patty, hello.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you again as well. So many great names, guys. Please, the MX Guru, how you doing tonight? Great to see you.
Bros in Paradise, good to see you again as well. John Boy, hello. Welcome here. And RCDP, a drone community channel.
Welcome.
Hello, welcome here. Good to see you guys. Welcome to each and every one of you. Amazing night tonight. Sean Warcho, Sean himself is going to be joining us tonight just in a couple of minutes time. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be exciting. If you go anywhere, I hope it's only for sharing and you're coming back.
That's right. And to do your selfie. If you haven't done your selfie yet, once again, there's the link, guys. Blue Wrench Group selfie. A selfie of you watching us. You can't do that. A selfie of you. Please use the included hashtag Blue Wrench Group so everybody can see you. And thank you so much for your amazing support, guys. As well, I want to say we are now, we just dropped one. That happens every time we go live. Well, I was going to say we're 10. We're no big deal. We're 11 away from 7,100 already, guys. You guys are freaking amazing. Excited for tonight's show. That's Awesome the Huntsman. And hey, lots of past great guests like yourself we've had. We have been really lucky to have the caliber of people that's joined us over this time. Really awesome. Makes the show is so much substance. Everybody learns from all of you guys' amazing stories and that. So our kids are doing the dishes, I guess, and getting a little animated, it sounds like. I don't know if they can hear it.
Hopefully, I don't think so. But I am looking at the selfies, and some of them are really interesting here. Exciting stuff, guys. Thank you so much for sharing your selfies. We're going to get to them in a little bit of time.
That's right.
And it's never too late to add yours. Hashtag Blue Wrench Group. And we're going to be sharing it out on the screen. So you can always add yours as well.
It's a great way to get your channel seen, guys. Even though it's on Twitter, it helps you a lot. Twitter's an amazing tool. And doing stuff like that also helps your channel a lot. Get seen by new people and stuff. So I'm worried about our computer tonight. I hope we don't have trouble. I'm a little nervous about it. I'm going to take one more look. I'll let you just chat away.
Okay, John Isabella is here, and apparently they can't hear anybody except for us, which is awesome. Thank you so much.
That's good. Okay, because I was wondering.
Thank you for letting us know. Madame Pango, hello. Brave Queen Cohen, hello and welcome back. I think you are coming back. This is not your first time. Good Cemetery has gone bad. Hello. Guys, I also wanted to shout out something really special before we jump into the selfies. I got interviewed. We had a conversation with one of our past guests from the season 1, and we were talking about photography, something that I'm very, very passionate about. And he has put part 1 on his channel. I'm going to put the link in the chat, and you can go and check it out if you're interested in something like that, talking about how did we get into photography, what does it mean, where, how you get the inspiration. Go and check it out. It's a formal Japanese Lifestyle UK channel, now more focused on photography. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat, so if you have time and if you're passionate about photography, go and check that out. That was really awesome.
Thank you so much. Happy Eaton, epic interview. Pusa Studios making history. Hey, we're all doing it together, guys. You guys have opened so many doors for us, and hopefully we're doing the same with you guys. We are all in it together. Anything we've gotten on here has been by the great help by you all, by word of mouth, by introducing us tonight with Early Kid In, who just went and took the bull by the horns.
Oh, yes.
And went right to Sean and cold called, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And that's why we have Sean tonight. So, I mean, how much more could you ask for than that? I mean, it's unbelievable.
And, I mean...
Even if you're eating at Good Cemeteries, it says no spam unless you're eating. And I'm hoping...
Oh, no.
That's that's what they... Cab 7 and all them all know that's my Achilles heel is spam. The edible as well as the... All right, guys, you're doing fantastic. More and more coming in all the time. Please, guys, tweet it out. Hit the like button if you haven't already. It really does help a lot. You have some friends you think that would enjoy it as well. Please invite them over. We'd love to have them. Get to know them. We'll treat them well. And so will everybody in the chat. It's great to have you guys in here. And remember, guys, it is an epic interview tonight. Our biggest channel we've ever had by far. 3.4 million subscribers. Once again, highest video ranking. 480 million views. And yeah, so you want advice on your channel tonight and that, you want to pick up some tips and tricks along the way, this is definitely the place to be for it. So, as well as some amazing videos work and that, really well done. Such a pleasure to watch his work. I'm sure a lot of you, even if you don't recognize the name right away, you've been sent these videos by time.
Oh, yes.
They've been around forever. Like,
if you've been sent anything about any superheroes, Batman, Spider-Man, Joker, anything and everything, I'm pretty sure you have come across his videos.
Like I said, that Christmas party one was just hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, I was laughing. It was just too much. I love that kind of slapstick, and you can see that Kids in the Hall in that one as well.
Oh my God, especially watching his older videos, like right from like 2006, 7, 8.
Yes.
The vibe from Kids in the Hall is so, I just love it. I love it so much, so enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. They do another one is The Bachelorette, but with all Marvel superheroes and stuff like that. And just real good slapstick humor.
Bachelorette. That's actually one of the
exactly.
videos that helped them go viral.
Yeah.
The one with the Bachelorette. That is actually really funny.
They do some amazing flash mobs as well. That's some stuff probably too you've seen a lot on like Facebook and stuff like that and everything else. And
yeah,
there is something for everybody, folks. There's something for everybody on here.
Dojo, hello. Syntax AI, hello. Modella Slim, hello. Fighter Z Scott is here as well. Bros in Paradise, thank you so much. Crew for Live, welcome back here. Good to see you all. Into the Maze, hello as well.
Amazing group of people here, guys. It's great to have you all under one roof. Honored to have you all here. So yeah, you guys are just like I say, unbelievable channels. Great to have you all hanging out, sitting your seats down like a show, getting ready to watch the main act, and it is coming very soon, guys. We're gonna send them the invite in about 4 or 5 minutes, so you do not want to move a muscle. In the meantime, as always, guys, tweet it out, hit the like button, tell friends, all that good stuff, guys. Like last night, you seen once again. When I was doing it, we ended up trending on 12 different pages, guys. That's why there was so many people in last night.
Yes, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was really cool. Thank you so much for that once again. And it was good for everybody. Everybody got to meet more people and stuff like that. And tonight, everybody gets to engage with more. So we get Sean's name trending higher and higher. That means a ton more people coming in and that. So have you heard the Notre Dame in France? I know that is
devastating. But apparently they have managed to get out most of the artifacts, so hopefully at least some of it is going to be saved.
That's a good thing. But it's still a shame in the meantime. But unfortunately, those older buildings in general, when renovations are being done, they're like a tinder house. It doesn't take much. So I know they take all the precautions they can, but there's only so much you can do, unfortunately. Alrighty, guys, let's go take a look. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Now I found. Alrighty. So let's go take a look, guys. See what tweets we got already. Awesome. There is Vexicore. Vexi, always love seeing your work. Always love seeing what you bring, which anime you bring to the table. So that site, like you say, must be full of like 1 trillion different pictures. There's no way around it. And there's Jackie, our little sweetie, and who we rated last night. Always such a pleasure to see you, Jackie. She always looks like she just did that hard day's work and just come home, and I'm so honored that you choose to chill some with us. That is really cool. Megan Chin, Pusa Studios, Blue Wrench Group, my dog. Dead today? It's sad.
Oh no.
Oh, it disappeared. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So sorry about that. Yeah.
Hopefully the picture's back up. Our condolences to you. Sorry to hear that. There's Old Car Auto Guy. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Hanging with Pusa Studios, the Blue Wrench Group, and my cat Bubbles. Oh, look at that. Just chilling out. Well, it's great to have you in here. Hope you're having a fantastic evening, and thank you for the tweet, and thank you for being here. Really do appreciate it. Rotten Roger DeMarco. Hey guys, check out the new 3B Production Co. logo. Blood, books, and breasts. Hope you're all doing well. Wow. Very nice, very nice. You got them all in there.
Yes.
And definitely the breast front and center. Good job, good stuff. Thank you so much. Megan Chin, oh, your TikTok video.
Awesome.
Very, very cool. Thank you so very much. And remember, guys, it's not too late to get those selfies in. We love seeing them, guys. Good Cemetery's Gone Bad. Thank you so much for tweeting it out. It helps us immensely. Cannot thank you enough. Into the Maze. Oh, oops. So I didn't use a cam in my episodes, but prefer to use my alter ego. Tal. in all my vids. I suggest this method to anyone who would like to make videos but don't want to film themselves. Hey, good stuff.
Yes.
Very good stuff.
Love that.
Thank you so very much. Either way, it's just great to have you in here and appreciate the tweet. And there he is, guys. Flash in your pan. What's going on, my buddy?
Nice.
Looking nice, looking good. I can only imagine the amount of projects that's been done in there. I'm sure there's a story to tell for everything. That is so awesome. Thank you so very much, guys. And remember, it's not too late, guys. The more the merrier. Love having them. Love seeing you guys' selfies. Once again, here's the link. Or if you guys, I should have been checking. You guys have been posting it already. But if you haven't seen it in the last little bit, guys, there you go. There's the link for our Twitter. Please just use the hashtag Blue Wrench Group so everybody can see you. And as always, guys, just keep getting the word out there. For us and for any live stream you're into, it really helps everybody out. And we're all in it together, folks. And thank you so very much. So we're just about ready to send in the link, guys. So I'll pass over to Xenia and get that ready. So
we're just about ready to welcome our guest Sean from the Sean Ward Show here on our guest spot. To have a conversation about all things fun and funny, comedy, entertainment, superheroes, upcoming Avengers movie, hopefully as well, but also about YouTube. Can you build a career on YouTube? I think Sean has proved that you can, and very successful too. And you can do it all on your own. Well, we want to hear more about it. We want to hear what work goes into it. How much time does he spend creating behind the scenes that we don't see? And what does it take to be a 3.4 million subscriber channel with almost 2 billion views and constant work outside of his channel as well? We want to know, what does it take, what is his road to success, and maybe he can share some tips with us on how to do it, because he definitely knows his art of craft on YouTube for sure. So we're also very proud of having him on. He is a fellow Canadian. For those of you that don't know, we are in Montreal in Canada, and our guest today is in Toronto, which is unbelievable. We love that. It's a special pride thing to feature somebody so successful, but also from Canada. There's always a soft spot for that. Chills TV, thank you so much. Thank you, Shauna Maiden. Thank you so much. Putting the link in, guys. Thank you. Live with Stephanie. Timmy Turner is here. Hello. How are you doing, Dojo? Lord Brandon, Elena Live Designs. Hello. Do some discoveries.
Well, guys, we have our guests, so we're gonna just get them all set up here in Zoom, and then we're gonna bring them on in just a second. So I think this is gonna be absolutely amazing.
Oh
guys.
yes, I can't wait
for this.
And I just wanted to remind you guys, you can always ask the questions. Just don't forget to put @Pusa Studios at the beginning of your questions, so I can see it, copy it, and then we can ask it to Sean during the show.
With that said, guys, let's welcome our guest tonight. Sean, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm terrific. I'm very, very happy to be on. How's it going by you guys?
Great. Thank
awesome.
you for making time to come here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a lot of fun. I heard a lot of great things about you guys, and you obviously got a really great audience, and I'm really excited.
Well, the pleasure is all ours. So how are you doing tonight, first off? How's things going in the life of Sean?
Oh, terrific. I'm just here. You were catching me in the editing suite of my studio here, and just been working on videos all day and planning the next Star Wars day for May 4th, and
it's gonna be big.
Traveling for Comic-Cons, and on it goes.
Always on a move.
Yes, I was going to ask you, how many would you say, how many days a year are you out of the house, like on the road for this?
It ends up being at least once a month, usually averages out. You know, if it's twice, you know, if I miss 1 month, it's twice in the next month, kind of thing. But yeah,
that's a good bit. That's enough, but it keeps it interesting. I'm sure you enjoy it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we're looking at, you know, of course, always trying to find new ways to get to new places and, you know, visit Comic-Cons overseas and make videos and all that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, as far as your videos alone, they've traveled the globe and then some. I mean, you're known in all corners of the world. I mean, originally just more in the comic side, but I mean, like I was telling everybody a while ago, I'm like, even if you're not involved with comics, at some point somewhere down the road, somebody's shared on Facebook or somewhere, one of your videos have come up just for the comedic aspect into them.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how it all kind of got rolling. Was once upon a time, you could post a YouTube link to Facebook, and it would go a lot further, right? Because things have gotten so consolidated in the years since I've been doing this that the different social media platforms don't play nice with each other so much as they used to. So
Mm.
you put a YouTube link on Facebook, it's a it deprecates it because it's sending you off the site.
Right.
Before, that's how that stuff got shared. So now you see our stuff popping up as gifs and gift comments and image memes and all this kind of stuff. It's just funny how the different forms that these things take.
But I mean, it takes a life of its own, and it must be amazing to see a video once you got going and got some real power behind your videos. It must be awesome to see it when you hit that, when you upload it, and then you go look a day later and you see this thing and the numbers are going up like crazy, and you know it's being viewed globally, and that it must be an amazing feeling.
Well, it's crazy because they can look at the stats every month, and I see the places that people are watching our stuff, and it's like small countries in Africa, and Iraq is always in the top 10, and
That's,
India and places like this, and like places that once upon a time, they're just these like kind of far off places. They barely even exist, just as far as your kind of like small little experience of the world goes when you're a kid. But then you start seeing them on your computer screen, and see that's where people are enjoying your content. And I
that's
mean, we're talking about superheroes, of course, so that means that people love those characters all over the world. And it's pretty great to be able to get to tell stories, and you kind of do our thing with them, and do the parody video thing. And we have a lot of fun with it, and it helps us meet a lot of people. And yeah, it just keeps on being more and more adventures.
you have to toe the line a lot because I'm sure in it there's the purist side who don't want anything to happen to their Marvel comics in any shape. Or I'm just taking Marvel's one, and the ones that love how you do that. I mean, I know in most niches we even have here, there's always one side that doesn't want nothing touched. They don't want to see it breathe, and the other side can't get enough of it. So is it a line you have to walk between? Not
Well, I mean, it's a thing that I've always done voluntarily to make sure that whatever we do, it's always in keeping with the spirit of the characters.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we would never have them do anything inappropriate or questionable or anything like that, just out of our love for the characters as fans.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there is a level on which I kind of feel like it's not mine to mess with. Like there is this kind of area of what's called fair use or fair dealing because of the parody aspect, right?
Mhm.
And the whole thing's a send up, but it's always like done like with love and affection, and that's what comes through. And I think that's why the real deal fan people appreciate it. At the same time, it's just people looking for a laugh can watch it and enjoy it.
Well,
But the whole thing about like doing right by those characters and doing right by the people who have invested so much energy in them, like that's something I take very seriously, and it's something that I'm honored to think that millions of people around the world are like watching something that we make and thinking that rings with the truth. You know what I mean?
Well, it does, and that's what I find I like about yours, because we all remember about 2 years ago the whole mess that was going on with those brothers. I forget their name in the States. They're on H3 and all that. You do the opposite. You keep all the integrity of the characters and just give them a little bit of a light human side that they can come off at the end of the day, drop their cape, and have a bit of human quality to them, which I find is so amazing. Where some of them at the time, it was hard because some of them were like completely ridiculing them. You never took that route. You always gave the characters the high road, and I find that's very admirable.
Well, yeah, with people, I mean, it starts off with ridiculing them, and then the next guy thinks he can get the edge by ridiculing them a little bit harder, and then the next guy thinks that he can get an edge by push. It's always just about like people pushing the envelope, and there's always going to be somebody ready to push it a little bit further until somebody's the one that pushes it too far, and that's what happened.
Right.
So it wasn't, a lot of people were on there doing really, inappropriate things with those characters and having them do things that they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
And then the big problem for that is that they were doing them very, very deliberately in a way that they were gaming the system, right?
Right.
So they had figured out a formula that would get toddlers to click on their videos. And then once the toddlers have clicked on it, it's like either gore or it's sexual stuff, and this kind of thing. And when that movement kind of first started ramping up, I kind of had a hunch about where it was going to go. And even when I had people saying, "Hey, your channel might grow a lot faster if you take on more of these kind of formatting conventions of how these other channels that are starting to get hot and do numbers are starting to do it." But I kind of knew that because it wasn't based in any kind of affection for the characters, it wasn't coming at it from an informed perspective.
Right.
It was just about like, hey, maybe if I go to Walmart and get a Spider-Man costume, I can get some clicks on YouTube, right? It's coming from that perspective.
Yeah.
So people are always going to stop at nothing. So that's the whole thing about like one of the big lessons in life kind of thing is about how you got to stick to your vision, because if you get caught up in chasing trends, there's always somebody who can either be a little bit more nimble than you, or is willing to sacrifice a little bit more than you, or is just a little bit more ruthless than you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like that's the game that you don't want to get caught up in, because it's a little bit more out of your control. There's always going to be somebody who's willing to play a little bit dirtier than somebody else. You know what I mean? But if you can just stay true to a vision and just have something that like is you a true expression of yourself, that like nobody can mess with that, because you're the only you. And no, in order to try to like capitalize on what you're doing, they're trying to step in for the part that's irreplaceable, which is what you bring to it. You know what I mean? And even though we're kind of doing this parody thing, and a lot of people misunderstand what we're doing, or at least used to before the results started speaking for themselves. At the end of the day, it is really, all about kind of that, finding that deeper level meaning that I'm trying to put into, all the art I've ever done.
I agree. And you know what? That's why you're still here today and they're not.
Yeah, and then that's and you just for me, it's all about sticking to your vision, like I was saying, and so here I am, still thriving and having a good time and loving doing all of this.
One of yours I had never seen before, and I just watched today. I was just telling everybody before you came on, the Christmas office party. That was one of the funny. That's my type of humor, and
Nice.
we talked a little bit before. That's got that kids in the hall, characters that are always like ducks out of water at a place, and that was the funniest one of them all. Just the bantering behind them had a little bit of Seinfeld humor into it.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that I'm always trying to strive for, right? Because I'm always trying to have the writing be actually good and actually legit funny, like professional caliber funny. And so that's probably one of the ones that would fit that one the most, because I once read a book. There was like an oral history of Saturday Night Live, and there's the part where Lorne Michaels he said that we don't, Saturday Night Live comes on 11:30. We don't put the show on because it's ready. We put the show on since 11:30 on Saturday.
I love it.
And there was that sort of attitude about it. I was being a bit too precious with my videos up to that point. So when I took on that more Saturday Night Live attitude of like, it's all about, an iterative concept where you're always trying to like, always be improving it and always be refining it as you go, as opposed to trying to make each one perfect. You know what I mean? It's once I flipped that dynamic and went for more of that, just put it out and see what happens and learn from it as fast as you can kind of idea, that things started really to happen for me.
Well, it was so well done. It really was. And that's like I was saying a little while ago, with how you take these superheroes and give them a bit of the human qualities. You did that so well in there, that little bit of awkwardness, what a Christmas party is like, I really thought it was very, very, very smart.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed that one. That's one of our favorite ones. In fact, that was one that we uploaded, and it really marked a turning point for the channel, because that was back when we were still primarily having success with like the street prank kind of videos.
Right.
And so to do something that was like that heavily and tightly scripted and produced was a real departure for us at that time.
Wow.
But it was always what I was trying to steer this towards, like since the very, very beginning.
I think it was brilliant. So yes, I have my 12 vote onto it. And the way you start, I think every channel starts that way. At first we find, and that's part of growing and learning our craft better and better as we go, is like that turning point, like you were saying. We all have to start somewhere, and then kind of like add more meat to the content. And then if this was your turning point, you definitely nailed it in every sense of the word. So
yeah, and that really is, when a lot of the people that we're working with now kind of became a part of it and kind of got locked in, and I really kind of realized sort of like what the tight unit was at the center of this whole thing. And so that's now, we got that team of 5 that's like, the central players to it now.
And sorry, I accidentally clicked back. I moved my menu around. We had a bit of an issue with our OBS tonight. Sorry about that. It should, for the most part, be okay. So I guess we'll just walk everybody back. We jumped right into it, and let you just tell everybody about yourself a little bit more, just what about yourself and what you do.
Well, I make YouTube videos that people watch all over the world. It's all about my favorite superheroes, and we have a lot of fun with it. Way the hell back in the ancient history of 2012, I did a video. I was trying to capitalize on a trend, the SHIT, so-and-so says. Remember that was the thing? So we tried to do Batman says. And by the time a video was done and ready to upload, the trend had crested, we felt like. So we just gave it a different title, just make it its own thing, called it Batman's Night Out, and uploaded it. And that set off like a year of making videos that were getting on the news and becoming, some TV show made it their viral video pick of the week and like this kind of thing. And once that happened 3 times in a year, I was pretty confident that I was onto something. And so that's kind of when I was really starting to go at it full time and making that sacrifice, even though I couldn't afford it. And even though I was living a lifestyle where, like, you know, I'm having to, you know, make sacrifices here and there and do what I can to just like, literally be able to pour everything into this YouTube channel, and just having this attitude of like, this is my shot, this is what I'm going to throw everything into, and just, you know, bet it all on this. And I just sort of made that decision to go really, really hard and publish, you know, weekly and devote that full-time energy to it, just confident that, you know, it would snowball into something over time. And then, you know, once I started publishing on a regular schedule and took on that Lorne Michaels attitude I was describing, that's when things started happening, and we kind of had liftoff at that point. And then, you know, slow growth. And then, you know, anybody who's had any kind of good fortune with anything that they've ever tried to do, you know, you put in a lot of work, and you start seeing like the slow growth, and you wonder why it's taking so long. And oh my God, at this rate, when's it ever going to get to where I need it to be? But things don't go linear like that, right? You never know when that's going to be that moment that like you've reached a critical mass where all this effort and dedication you're putting in has all equals up to more than the sum of the parts. And then it's just slow growth, boom, big pop off, right? And so I had a couple of those in a row. And then I'm trying to tell the story as briefly as possible.
No, please, all the time you need.
A broad strokes overview to intro everybody here. But so what it came down to is we had a couple of those kind of like big, you know, that first year we had the 3 viral spikes, and then it turned into like, oh, this slow growth kind of stable thing growing. And then we had like these big swells that came. And then the real turning point was back in 2015, one of those big swells, and then it just never came back down. And so we were kind of been up on a new plateau ever since then. And that video that did it for us at that time has actually gone on now to be like, it's approaching 500 million views. And it's actually, somebody broke it down and figured out that it's the #1 highest viewed video on YouTube with the word prank in the title. It's literally the #1 prank video on all of YouTube, is that Spider-Verse video from 2015.
That is so incredible.
And ever since that one started popping off, that's what that kind of is what kind of, I guess, got our channel friends with the suggestions algorithm, because then that's been how like the success of our channel since then has been, you know, people are watching all different videos having to do with this world of superheroes and Comic-Con and superhero movies, and then our stuff comes up in the sidebar and people click on it. So and it's been from 2012 to now, that has swallowed up my whole life, because previous to that I used to go out on the street. I used to make my own comic books and go out and sell them on the street. Now we're talking about like a whole kind of prehistory. I had a whole like career as this like street artist guy who started getting interest from TV producers and kind of thinking I was on my way to, you know, kind of be in Hollywood kind of thing. But then, you know, learned a lot of hard lessons and sort of realized that sometimes people don't know what they're talking about as much as they let on. And just a whole lot of variety of circumstances led to sort of having this whole kind of like street artist is growing, it's turning into something. And then it kind of all went away. And I thought, that's it. I had my shot. It's done. But then, you know, just you keep on living and you keep on pushing, and you have to come up with some new ideas. And I just, like I said, I just had to have a project that I could throw myself into, like I had been, you know, back when I wanted to be an artist and I was working telemarketing and I was working retail jobs, and just like had this whole just like stubborn thing about how the whole way I've been interacting and not shouldn't getting my way, but the whole like level on which I've been interacting with the world throughout me being like a teenager is this very stubborn level of, no, you don't understand. I'm on my way to being this great artist. So if you're, whatever you're doing, teacher, mom, whoever, right, authority kind of figure in my life, if you're getting in the way of me kind of expressing myself and making this art, then you're sort of getting in the way of like this great thing that I'm doing, right? So when enough years went by and I didn't go to college, university, I'm just kind of working this job, that job, minimum wage here, there, call center, retail, whatever. I just like got obsessed with this idea, like, oh no, like I swore up and down I was going to be this like artist person, and I'm not doing any of that. So then I felt like I had lost time to make up for, you know, threw everything into, you know, I'm a minimum wage kid. I couldn't afford a smartphone or a computer of my own. So I just used what I had, and I had a marker and I had some paper, and I kind of started drawing comic books and going and photocopying them and selling them on the street. And that sort of snowballed into putting on a live event series as release parties for the new issues. And then that started getting like, you know, inviting VIPs, and that turned into like the TV producers sort of getting involved. Yeah. And then, like I said, that whole thing kind of crashed and burned for me for a variety of different reasons. And then it was like climbing out of a pit, because then on top of it, it's not just that I'm not living out my dreams, but there's also the whole factor of, oh, I'm a fraud. Oh, I've been exposed. I was on my way to the top, and then, oh, this kind of thing, right? So the confidence the confidence hit that inflicted was like doubled up on top of all of the doubt that comes with just not doing well, right? Or I haven't made it yet. it's something else to have, you know, think you got a taste of it and then, oh, wait a second, right? But then I just like, you know, the only thing that was going to get me to climb out of kind of the pit of despair that I was in was to just rewind it all back to how I did it before. It was just like, what's something that I could be doing and putting my focus on every day that could start compounding on itself and just eventually add up to, you know, I'll have made a bunch of content that just, it'll add up to something, I don't know what, but just start shoveling coal into this furnace of what can it be? Oh, I know, I'll start doing a daily video project. And so I started kind of vlogging on YouTube, and then that led to doing a second channel so I could put actually like produced comedy stuff. And that second channel that I made to put the produced comedy stuff is the one that has taken off and kind of become my claim to fame now.
It's funny how things work out, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And I mean, it's all kind of a testament. I like to think that, you know, when I was the younger artist, me loved the idea that I was a testament to the idea of like, you know, believe in yourself and you can make anything happen and getting into all of that. And then, you know, get a little bit older, and now here I am kind of having this whole kind of second career now, this almost the second life.
Yes.
And I feel like it's a test. Now it's a testament to that, like, you're never down, you're never out. You really can't, it really is all just about betting on yourself. Even if you know, you rolled 7 and you got craps and you busted, you got to re-up, you got to get back in the game. And, you know, life can be tough. Life can be a challenge. Life's not getting any easier.
Right.
So the only defense you have against that fact is to just like get up and start doing something and start putting energy into something. It almost doesn't matter what, as long as you're, because it's going to figure out its own thing and you're going to like evolve with it along the way. You know what I mean? And so that's just like, also I just have the compulsion to just always be making stuff. I always had when I was a little kid, right? I'd like make my own toys out of cardboard. Like if there was some show on TV and there wasn't action figures on the market, I'd like make them out of cardboard and stuff like this. And I've just always had that kind of just like making art, and everything's kind of pop art based on entertainment brands and just that whole thing. And superheroes, of course, being like my #1 obsession for literally my whole life, like to the point of when I was 2 years old, instead of a security blanket, I had a Superman cape that I'd make my mom pin around my neck and wear it to the mall or wear it to the grocery store or what have you. This has just been my life like forever. It's almost like other boys got to an age where they sort of either lost interest or maybe even consciously decided I'm too old for that now. Right. I just never did. So I just like never gave away my toys. I never stopped collecting them. I never stopped playing with them. People even now, like my coworkers here in the studio, like I'll have like the Shazam and the Black Manta, and I'm like crashing them into each other and doing in the office. I'm just like playing with them, right? And it just.
I was going to ask you that when you're planning out a skit, does it ever get down to grabbing the action figures on the desk or somewhere and like start getting ideas as you're?
Well, that stage is less about, you know, trying to get ideas out of it and more about just sort of letting the imagination run wild and sort of, because, you know, as you're visualizing it, it's like when I'm a little kid, I'm visualizing like, yeah, the action figure is posed a certain way, but in my mind he's moving a certain way and the arms are coming around, right? So I'm sort of getting those like kind of movements and those images like locked in my head so that I can like, it's almost like it goes in a file so that when I'm working on the movie later, even though it's a very dry process of like being at, you know, Google Docs with a script thing open, those are the images, those are the files that I'm like, oh yeah, that image can fit right here and add it to this other thing, the bad guy will come in, you know, whatever. It's just like, you know, kind of gathering your resources sort of thing. Just having that time to just play and be having fun and let your inner child out. That's an important point if you're a creative person or any kind of artist. That's an important point of gathering your resources.
I love it. I love it. And I was going to ask you about your childhood, but you had answered it already. Was this like linked right from childhood? You were kind of born to be a star, like you were born to be in front of a camera. And I think the answer is a resulting yes.
Well, I've always loved being in front of a camera, but it was never about, like, maybe when I was a shithead as a teenager, I'm sure there's been incidents along the way when it was about the attention or, you know, trying to look famous or whatever. But the heart of it, even going back to like being a little kid, you know, and like, you know, I'd be pretending I'm in a music video on my walk to work because I had to walk through this one big field with these power line, you know, towers in it. So it just felt big and epic. So I'd be like, you know, a music video, making up songs and stuff, right? And it's always been about just like making cool stuff. So when I was a kid and a little kid, it was Michael Jackson's Thriller, you know, because my mom liked it. Or a little while after that, it was like reading Spider-Man comics and just there's something to how the art was so precise, almost looked like a machine drew it. Like it just had that level of polish. And as a kid, it was hard to understand that that's like, you know, a grown adult has put in the time to refine it to such a degree. You just look at it and like, it just looks like it became fully formed out of the ether, right?
Yes.
So as a kid trying to get into that head of like reverse engineer it, who is that person that came up with the idea to make this? How did they come up with that idea? Not how they did it, but how did that idea to do it even occur to them? What circumstances led to that? You know what I mean? And that's sort of the level that I started getting obsessed with it. And that's why I love the idea of like the behind the scenes of entertainment and production, and why I've always read every book about, you know, behind the scenes of movies. And even as a little kid, getting obsessed with watching, you know, the DVD bonus features, the behind the scenes stuff and whatnot. Like, I've always been mad for that stuff because I just love the process of it. I love the whole idea of like the creative mind, ideas floating around, pick the best idea, combine it with another great idea. Oh, this other idea that we didn't even intend for that, but it fits here. Oh, what do you know, right? Just that whole process of just like setting up a space where you got a plan, but you've left it wide open enough for like interesting accidents to happen and whatnot, right? Just that, the buzz of that has been like my drug my whole life. Whether it's, you know, auditioning for this, you know, the school Christmas pageant play that we're doing in grade 7, all the way up to trying real hard to get into the talent show in high school, all the way up to, you know, even being on the sidewalk with my comic books and having the whole thing about making sure that I dress the bomb and have a tie and putting on a certain presentation around it, right? It's always theater. It's always about putting on a show. It's always about just that magical thing of like what the creative spirit typically wants for the world, and that being sort of a big force in like, you know, how it makes people like form who they are. And like how many people in the last 10 years have gotten into the Avengers, maybe never liked the comics or anything, but got into the Avengers through the movies, and now it's like so central to their personality and how they're kind of their self-image of themselves, right? Because the whole thing about superheroes being like, you know, the promise of under just such circumstances, that would be me, you know what I mean? And that whole thing, like, it's just, I've been obsessed with how like that role that art and entertainment plays in our lives, and that huge priority space that we give it in sort of our group consciousness. The hows and the whys around that have just been a subject of absolutely endless fascination to me my whole life.
I love your passion into it. It is so inspiring just to hear you talk about it.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, I do get passionate about it, but that's just because you know, I've always believed in this stuff.
But where does it stem from? Because when I was watching your older videos, I wondered, is it certain in kind of education, or is it in the family? Where do you get that, you know, gift of selling things, gift of acting, and gift for drawing, first and foremost?
Because you're not just an excellent producer, you're an excellent creator, and you're also an excellent director. You do have all those qualities, which is quite rare for somebody to encompass those. You are the full package when it comes down to it. So I figured.
I appreciate that. Well, at the end of the day, for me, it's about like, I guess at the real core of it is that I'm driven to make things exist that didn't exist and wouldn't exist if I didn't make it exist. And for those things to be things that on some level are going to trigger something in people that inspires them or makes them see the world slightly differently, like it has to have that. Even with a silly kind of Batman jokey parody video that we do a lot of times, there's still somewhere in it is that, you know, deep hidden meaning kind of thing. And so being able to, you know, coming back to the whole obsession with the entertainment machine and how things get that sort of glean and polish and whatnot, as you know, once the marketing gets to it and whatnot. It's always been, I've been driven to just make those things exist. So as a kid, like I described about how, you know, if an action figure series didn't exist, I'd like make it out of cardboard. Right. Or like I didn't have a camera. I wanted a video camera so bad. So I took cardboard and toilet paper rolls and like made like one to just pretend that I'm holding. Or like me and my friends would spend an entire day making like a box that, like a cardboard box with like, it's supposed to be like a video game thing, and then we got controllers. We just drew the buttons and whatnot on the cardboard, and it's connected with a string. And we would spend all day like designing the labels for these video games that we're dreaming up that don't even exist, but like we're making little cardboard cartridges because like they're making the packaging for it and like all this kind of thing. Like I guess I've just sort of like spent so long doing all the different tasks, refining that talent for just like making stuff that has a certain level of kind of polish and sheen with that deep hidden meaning in it. You know what I mean? And so from being an artist to being an actor to being all this kind of stuff, when you hit that one about salesman, why that jumped out at me is because it reminded me of a story I kind of got to share with you. You guys are based in Montreal, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
So I spent a few months one winter in Montreal thinking, because, you know, I've heard that Montreal is this badass artsy place. Well, if they're going to buy my comic books in Toronto, they're going to love them in Montreal if it's an artsy place, right? So having never been to Montreal, I packed up and moved to Montreal. I lasted 2 months. But while I was there, because it's cold, right? Now is the year that I learned the hard way that people don't want to stop and talk to you about your comic book the same way when they're being hit in the face with ice pellets as they do when it's a beautiful, nice summer's day, right?
Yep.
So that's how I learned the hard way, was going to Montreal and trying to sell comic books all winter in Montreal. But this one guy one time saw me out on the street, and he invited me to come to his office, and he had a business proposition for me and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, keep in mind, it's like, I've been doing this comic book selling on the street thing for less than a year at this point. I'm totally new, totally wide-eyed, right? So I'm thinking that he like sees something in me and wants to invest in my comics and like take me to the next level, whatever. And when I get to his office, what he really invited me for was he represented some kind of like multi-level marketing kind of idea where he wants me to sell, I don't know, like a vacuum cleaner or something door to door, right?
Oh, no.
And I remember, like, I'm trying to explain to him, but you see me out there with selling my comic books and you think, oh, this guy, he's going to be a great salesman. You want me to go sell your vacuum cleaner? I can't sell your vacuum cleaner. I can only sell my comic books because I'm not out there as a salesman. I'm out there as the, you know, the most direct way to get my art to market is for me to go out there and on a one-to-one basis, physically put it in people's hands. It wasn't about selling, even though ultimately that's what I was doing, but that's not what I was out there to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason why that story came up is because he mentioned about salesmen. If I had to like go out and actually like, you know, get in sales, as it were, it's almost like, I don't want to sound like I'm disparaging that profession. I'm jealous. I've been jealous of people who've got that skill for years, like especially in some of the years when I was struggling and I was lean, and I'd see like people that could go into like real estate and stuff like that and like do well at it and like not have to worry about the things that I'm worrying about, you know, choosing between whether or not I'm going to eat dinner or take the subway because I can't afford to do both, you know, this kind of thing. And like, yeah, just like there's been times when I kind of felt like this whole thing that I'm driven to make art and be this person who makes these art things. Like there's been times when that felt like a curse. Like it's not all been fun and roses. And there's been a lot of times where I just like have been crying my face off because I just, honest to God, don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah. And I'm just feeling just that desperate and at my wit's end, you know what I mean? And so like, I couldn't sell myself out of that situation. Otherwise I'd have gone and done it. All I could do was just keep making stuff and just trust that eventually I'll have made enough stuff that some tipping point gets reached, and then you know, kind of you do it and it goes in waves, and do it again, it's a bit bigger. And
but that's the heart of a difference between the heart of a salesman and the heart of an artist. An artist can't be a salesman for everything, but for what they do, they'll sell it to the end of time. They'll believe in it when everybody else will tire out. They'll still have heart for it. It's amazing how driven it is. And you look at any musician, any painter, the hard conditions it's gone through to get to where they've got, and some that never even get there and will do it for a lifetime just because of that passion that drives them to it.
Yeah, the one thing that I wish that I would have done a little bit differently is that you know, there's that whole aspect that, you know, a guy like Gary Vaynerchuk talks about when he says that you gotta, whatever your story is, you gotta speak from your experience and own your story, right? So just that whole level of own your story. I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna own my story. So remember I was saying before, I'm selling comic books in the street and I can't afford my own computer. I don't have a smartphone, nothing like that. Because I'm literally like, go out, sell some comic books. Okay, take that money, go to Staples, print the next stack. Okay, now go sell those, go buy something to eat. And also I've got a little bit of money to like, you know, buy some markers to be able to work on the next one tomorrow night kind of thing, right? This sort of just like folding it over day by day by day. So back then, the whole thing was like people would ask to follow me on different social media and whatnot. I'm like, no, I don't have any of that. Oh no, because I'm all like, you know, old school, and I don't ever scan it. It's always like I draw it and I put it on the glass photocopy, and it's the old school photocopy technology, and then I put it all together by hand. You can never look at it on the computer screen, right? This is the level that I'm getting with it on. If I had it to do over again, I would have gotten on like all of that social media train, even if I didn't have the means to update it daily or anything. I wouldn't have been so like snooty about it, because really I'm just trying to like hide my foibles.
Well, I think a lot shared your same sentiment back then. I mean, in the arts community, it was hard for a lot to transition to the idea of going into the computer side. I mean, that's music, once again, they all follow the same paths. A lot of them too at the time were more purists, didn't want to be touched with it. But hey, better late than never. And man, did you ever come to the table when you decided to? So,
Well,
you know,
yeah, I mean, there definitely is this sense of like I needed that whole kind of apparatus to ripen and get to a point where there could exist now the thing that does exist, which is, you know, the whole business and industry around YouTube that allows us to kind of do what we do. And, you know, the whole planet and all the internet connections on it is a much bigger street corner than the one that I was standing on with my comic book. But otherwise, it's all kind of just the same attitude.
well, I gotta ask you now that you're at, well, let's see, where you're at, you know, 3.4 million. You got a 1.7
Yeah, just hit that
billion.
0.4.
I mean, is it what you expected it was going to be to get up at this size? Is it?
Oh, dude, no, I had to. I really had to limit my expectations just so that I could like wake up in the morning and not be just crushed by like the whole like how insurmountable seems, you know, the odds. Because YouTube came out and I was doing, like I said, I didn't own a computer, I didn't own a smartphone, I wasn't, and YouTube was kind of in its infancy around that time. And so before I had the opportunity to get into all of that, me being able to have like just that little bit of money to actually like have a computer and those kinds of niceties, that all dovetailed with me, right, what I thought at the time was rising up. So I started working for a TV show. So between working for that TV show and putting a lot of my creative focus into that, you know, their project, as well as because I was doing my comic books and then I, you know, book a nightclub and have a release party and make a little movie on video to show at the release party and book a band and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, it's issue 6. So it's going to be on the 6th of the month at 6 o'clock. We're going to unveil the issue 6. This is right. We wouldn't have done 6 because that would have made it 666 and we don't want to do that. You get what I'm saying? You get the point.
You don't attempt it.
We did 4 on 4 was April 4th for the 4th issue at 4 o'clock was a good one. Yeah, so there was a time back then. So YouTube starts coming out and the whole business around it and the partner program and people being able to start making money on it, that all started to happen while I was involved in other people's stuff. So just, you know, pardon my language, but crappy timing that the same period that I would run that little experiment in, let's see what happens when I, you know, kind of treat it more like a getting a job kind of attitude and go to work for somebody else, just happened to dovetail with this time that in retrospect would have been the most important time to be making my own name and putting my own passion into something that I own and control, right? So that's part of the reason why as well. By the time that TV show, you know, they didn't follow some advice that I gave them and they ended up getting canceled. And then that also, some other TV producers that were interested in sort of developing kind of my whole kind of comic book and that stuff based on me as the street artist, that had kind of done what it was going to do. And they ended up revealing they're not going to be the people to take this to the promised land. So once I kind of came out the other end of that, feeling like all that time that I spent not making a new issue of the comic book because, you know, the people from the TV show, we got this big elaborate plan about how I'm going to do a new #1 in full color and it's going to go out into all the stores. We're going to start this new comic book company and blah, 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 blah. And just, you know, all these best laid plans that never come true. 2 years of kind of just letting other people be the ones making those kinds of calls about when we're going to release a new thing, what we're going to make next and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, people are always on their own agenda and people don't have that same kind of drive and that same, you know, hunger. So that was really just the period of life that coincided with me kind of learning that lesson about like, you know, that's how you get distracted into other people's agenda and lose what you got and stop putting momentum in it. So I came out the other side of that and had that feeling of, oh my God, that whole industry has like got up and going without me. And it's so far out ahead of me now, I could never catch up to it because people are having like, it's going on enough that there's almost like careers that these are starting to turn into, right? And so just I had to like just sort of have modest expectations. And when I'm making my YouTube videos, I don't even really have an idea for what success is going to mean. I'm just trying to get my stuff seen. And if this video I put up today gets more views than the one I put up yesterday, then that's a success, right? So at the time we did that Batman video, the video that I had done the best had 1,800 views on it. And it was a video of when, like, you know, whatever G8 summit or whatever, like one of the late night sort of showdowns between protesters and cops. Like as it was like the end of the night with just the last few crap heads out throwing bottles at the cops and whatnot. Like I was able to document that. The video I made of that had 1,800 views, which at the time was just like, that felt like it was a viral sensation back to be at that time. So when the Batman video started doing like oh my God, it's been up for a couple hours and it's already at 5,000. Oh, people are sharing it. Oh, Paul Dini just tweeted it out, and now all the Batman blogs are running with it. And that kind of stuff. Once that started to snowball, that's when I finally had the feeling of, oh, okay, it's happening now. Finally. I've been working at this for so long, and finally something, anything is starting to happen.
Did it scare you?
And then even after that, it was still kind of a series of controlled experiments to just try to like be able to get a sense of what the hell it is that we got, because I knew it was something, but I didn't know what it was, right? And so 2 years of trying different things and making mistakes and figuring out what works turned into, okay, we're going to be a superhero channel. This is what we're good at. This is what people respond to. This is the language that we seem to be able to speak in, that people are most receptive to, and works for me, since that's my big obsession anyway. And it's just, you know, that's when it's just, life just started being about like playing with people dressed up in superhero costumes. Like I got like the action figures, but now they're real life, right?
I love that.
Yeah, and that's sort of just the long kind of climb up to this position that we're in with YouTube now, where we're at LA Comic-Con last year. I'm in the full Joker makeup, and Mackenzie's in the Harley Quinn dress. She's got the Suicide Squad nightclub version of the dress on, so she's looking fly af, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then Imperium is down with us, and she's got this Poison Ivy outfit on, and we're backstage because we're waiting to go on and do this rap performance that's going to be like the halftime show of the National Cosplay Championships, where we're about to go out and perform for 5,000 people. Up to that point, the max I ever performed for was like a couple hundred people in a nightclub, right? Yeah. So we're going to go and perform for 5,000 people. And just as we're waiting to go on, my channel manager from Studio 71 comes, and he's talking to us, and he's hipping Mackenzie and Imperium to the level that our YouTube channel is at, because they knew that we were doing well, but they didn't know in direct one-to-one comparisons what any of it means.
Right.
So now here's a guy who like works at one of the biggest multi-channel networks that represents, you know, YouTubers that have been on the Tonight Show and whatnot, right? They're huge. And he's the one telling them, oh, no, you guys are like in the top 5% of all YouTube channels in terms of daily views. And he starts going down the list of like huge YouTubers that are like full-on celebrities by now. And he's going down the list. Is, yeah, you guys beat them day by day. Yeah, you get more views than them day by day. And these two girls are over here just like, you watch their faces, their mouths just drop. They're just like, what am I even listening to? And suffice it to say that we went on stage with like a renewed vigor.
Oh, I can imagine.
Through the show.
That makes you strut, man. Come on, it's got to.
We were strutting big time. That was a magical moment. Like there's just like certain kind of there's certain times in your life that you could just make up a list of just like magical moments that like stand out as a memory in your head, and like that would go down.
Oh, I can only imagine. What a great feel, and well earned. I mean, listen, it was not handed to you. It's a lot of work, and like you just named off there, that was a lot of forming your content and a lot of, like I said, distractions and over time and that. I mean, you earned it and then some. You know?
Yeah, and a lot of doing it our way, right? Because like we've been doing this now from 2012 to now, so it was 7 years of it actually. You know, and that's only counting from the first viral video. Yeah. But 7 years from just a fluke of a thing catching on and going viral to now having this channel that's doing really, really well. And all along 7 years in online is a long time.
Oh, yes.
Whole like world, you're like whole careers of like the kind of careers that people like could like just retire or at least know that they've got a bit of an income for the rest of their lives. Kind of those kind of careers have come and gone in that amount of time when it comes to like YouTube and the online thing. So we've seen so many trends come and go, and there's been a lot of times when like we maybe wanted to jump on a trend but just didn't have the time because we were too busy doing the other thing we were doing, or you know, somebody recommended that we jump on a trend and we just could not get it together in time. So many times along the way that, you know, we might have jumped on a trend or were encouraged to jump on a trend and we kind of just never did. And just kind of did it our way. And basically just in the last, you know, 6 to 8 months is when I've been feeling like these videos are finally starting to be what I've wanted them to be since way the hell back then in 2012 with that Batman thing. Because the whole thing for me was like those videos where we're going out in the street and just having somebody in a really dope costume be interacting with people on the street and we'll just make a montage of whatever funny stuff happens. That was just, you know, the whole idea about get up and going with whatever you got available to you, whatever you've got here, like just make something out of it, right? Well, I can borrow a camera. This guy's got a costume. We can go out in the street. He's going to be funny for people and whatever, you know what I mean? but I always knew that I could steer that into, you know, the scripted stuff, the studio based stuff, the produced stuff, and actually have it be like actual good comedy as opposed to just, you know, the street prank style.
Right.
And it was in the early days, it was a real challenge to get other people involved with it to kind of see my vision for it, because, you know, most people tend to be more of the mind of when something works, they want to not just do it again, but do as much of it as possible, just to sort of like, you know, make hay while the sun shines. Whereas my creative philosophy has been more like, I know it's going to take longer to get there, but it's a more solid foundation. And that's kind of what I found out over the years. Is my attitude is, when you do something and it works, do something that's as different as possible, as fast as possible, because now you're showing your range. And it's almost like when an actor does a big Avengers movie and then immediately turns around and does like a small indie film. Right. And on one level, it's like they're taking a break from the big chaos of doing the big, you know, epic thing of the Avengers. But there's also the level where it's like you want to show your range and what you're capable of. And then a guy like Kevin Feige, right? Like he's the guy who oversees all the Marvel movies. He doesn't go off and do the small indie projects as his passion project, because the Marvel thing is his passion project. But even then, there's still that iterative idea of do something as different as possible, as fast as possible, because you look at how he programs the Marvel movies from one to the next. Do the huge, big, giant team up, and then quickly turn around and do something that's completely as different as in tone as possible. Follow the really intense, dark political spy thriller with the funny, loopy, campy one. You know, this kind of. And there's all different ways that you can incorporate that into whatever anybody watching this, what their art might be. But I kind of feel like that's the move, and that's always what's going to get you unstuck or not get you stuck in the first place, because also you keep your creative muscles limbered up. You're ready for, you're ready to assimilate any idea that might come from any direction. Whereas if you're locked into if I just I made a video where I was talking about, I don't know what's an 80s toy, Transformers. Okay, so I went off on some rant about Transformers and it went viral. So all I'm going to do is talk about Transformers every day, every Transformers, and you eventually repeat yourself. But I just keep saying it because I got to. And then, now I've just talked so much about Transformers, but I keep saying the same thing. So I'm making more videos, just saying more of the same thing, because they're not doing as much as they were when they were viral. And I'm trying to make it up by just making more videos. And that's the slow taper that I just never wanted. You know what I mean? So it's always like, do this, and then do something really different right away, and then take what you learned from that something different and apply it to the follow-up to the thing that was popular, and then just it just keeps folding into itself that way. You know what I mean?
I like that formula.
Me too. Yeah,
I love it. And I think oftentimes people are afraid to jump once they get onto that success roll, so to say. They're afraid to jump off of it in any way, even to veer slightly off of it, just in case it all crumbles. But I like this approach. It's so fresh, and you're right. It keeps the creative juices still flowing, not getting burnt out by what you have to do to get successful.
Well, you look at a guy like Bob Dylan, and let's take it real back, and you look at a guy like Bob Dylan, who was always trying new things and never felt locked into any one thing.
Right.
And so he's been able to be so many different things, and look at him now. He's this icon, this legend, this kind of folk hero kind of figure that people who are really into him will wax poetic about how you can never peg him down. And they even made a movie about it called I'm Not There, where it's like they had 6 different actors playing different aspects of his personality.
Cool.
And like this kind of thing, right? That movie came along. There's a whole other story I could tell you about just the religious experience of seeing that movie when I was at my lowest. But not to get sidetracked, what I wanted to compare that against is, biggest act ever is the Beatles, right? But what happened to the Beatles? They broke up. Why did they break up? Well, there's a whole lot of different theories, but one of the theories that I have is they were so locked into being the Beatles.
Yeah.
Whereas if they would have felt the tension in the group, and if they would have had the wisdom and the maturity at that, they're just, young guys in their 20s, right? So forgive them. Yeah. But if they would have had the wisdom and maturity that maybe a band now would have to be able to say, let's go do something different, and everybody go off and make your solo album. So George goes off and makes a weird sitar album, and Paul goes off and makes some audio collage album, and John makes whatever he's going to make with Yoko, and Ringo drinks. But then they all come back and they're energized, and they're back to being friends again because they're sharing their experience and what he learned from that project. Oh, I really like what you did on that one. I want you to try that when we come back together and work on the next project, right? And maybe that would have kept the creative juices going. Maybe the Beatles could have been more like the Rolling Stones, and they'll be playing decades later and all this kind of thing. But I kind of think that they got so locked into the rigidity of the one thing that's and you know, a lot of people might say, oh, well, you know, look what it did for them, the Beatles. Okay, but not everybody's the Beatles, right?
Mhm.
You're looking at it from the wrong angle if you're looking at it from that one. I was just making the point that if when you get locked into, you think you got to stick to a formula. It's what it really comes down to is like you can't be operating out of fear. And if you're operating from the thing of like, oh, I got to try to do another one of the thing that already worked, you're operating out of fear because you're afraid to try something new.
Yeah.
You're afraid that the audience isn't going to come with you if you try something different. You're afraid people aren't going to get it. But you look at artists like Becker, you look at artists like some of these comics guys that bounce between comics and video game design and da-da-da-da. It's all about, you know, the people that don't burn out are the ones that are always trying new things and can never be pinned down and, you know, have success with one thing and go try something else for a little while. And it's going to make you a more interesting person. You're just going to get in more adventures and have more stories to tell and have, you know, just a wider different selection of perspectives to bring to it when you are sitting down to do the work. You know what I mean?
That is so true. And when you said it a while ago, I think everybody still got tingles from it. I think, you know, and we really do. And we're lucky because if you take the Beatles, I mean, they were kind of caught in. I usually hate using this term, but for lack of a better one, they were caught in the machine at the time too. That wouldn't even let them if they had wanted to pull it at that point. There's so many power. We're lucky now in this day and age with YouTube and all this free governing over our talents. We have so much more opportunity to change and expand where they didn't get as much back then either. You know. And I think that's the great thing about being a creator this day and age. It gives you so much flexibility in what you can do.
Well, that's the you know, if you really want to start drawing comparisons, you know, we hold the Beatles up as one example, right? Back in the day, if they were on all three, if they were on three channels at once, then they were on every channel.
Yes,
because people lived in a world where they had got three channels over the air antenna, right?
Right.
Whereas now, it's not just that you've got a buddy up with the corporation that's going to put in the resources to bring you to market, and hopefully you can capture audience because the audience is split amongst all the channels and blah, blah, blah. Now there is no barrier whatsoever. If you can get on the computer, you can go to the, if you can't afford a computer, you can go to the public library to upload it. Like there's so many places that are just like trying so hard to get people to make use of their resources, to be able to do this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's government programs, community organizations, the local library, some a business startup that just wants to start dipping their toes in the water of online content. Like, there's so many places to go with this if you can't do it on your own, which most people can because it's, you know, if you got a smartphone, then you're good to go. But just this whole idea that anybody, anywhere can just pick up and go today, right now, and just start talking and just start making that be the first step towards making whatever crazy dream you got in your head come true. This is so unprecedented. And there is definitely this magic moment feeling of like things will crystallize and there will be a new normal one day. It's actually kind of already forming now. If you look at sort of the what social media occupies in our lives and the way that we interact and kind of live our lives on a lot of these kind of social media websites, that's sort of, it's already kind of started to crystallize sort of whatever this new world is going to look like. But we haven't even got there yet. There's so much further that we're still going to go.
It's refining,
So I keep saying to audiences everywhere when I'm doing like, you know, how to be successful on YouTube panels and whatnot, is just like there's no substitute for just getting going like right now. You got an idea, great, refine it as you go. Just start talking about it and trying to get on people's radar and trying to interact with people and trying to meet people and the fact that there's no barrier to entry is just so like mind-bogglingly, what even kind of world do we live in that like that kind of opportunity exists. And it's like when you hear people that are getting caught up about this or that, you know, social issue or thing in the news or like whatever, it's like how does any of that compete for your attention with the fact that you've got this thing called the internet and this thing called YouTube and this thing called social media to go start working on, right? Like everybody should have a sense of urgency. I forget where I read it, but some kind of editorial or something was making the point that we're all walking around with a computer in our pocket that has more computing power than what got them to the moon the first time. And like you have this, you have this thing in your pocket. I got my pocket right here, right? Any question you could possibly think of, you can get the answer right now, instantly for free. Well, not for free. I mean, you pay for phone, but you get what I'm saying, right? Yeah. Right there, right? You're literally at your fingertips. And the author was saying, like, how is anybody okay with not exploiting that to its potential? Why is there anybody who's not a millionaire at this point? Kind of idea. Yeah. And it's just so it's almost like for me, if I'm going to start getting to a deeper level now, it's almost like this on a certain level confirms, whether you want to call them spiritual principles or religious tenets or whatever. There's just this whole thing about how the big message from self-help books or religious texts or whatever always keeps coming back to this whole kind of 1-2 punch of it all begins with having gratitude. Whatever is in your life right now, you got to be grateful for it because it's going to be your starting point. And then just taking some kind of action, any kind of action. It almost doesn't matter what, because you can figure it out as you go. And that's the 1-2 punch that if you can kind of like, when you're starting to wane on one, you put more work into the other, and that's how it balances out, and that's how it stays upright and kind of floats through the universe. And the reason why I think this is such a profound statement and why this is such an important message is because that's the kind of thing that my mom, being a spiritual kind of person and kind of teaching us the woo-woo stuff when we were kids and whatnot. And, you know, like when I was a kid, she took me to like the psychic expo and let me pick out like some crystals that I would keep in a velvet pouch and stuff like this. And, you know, and the one guy's giving a workshop about people who have had interactions with UFOs and like this kind of thing. Right. And yeah, so I've just been into this stuff since I was a kid. And it's looked to me like the whole kind of forward thrust of like technology and mass communication and where it's all gone has all been about making the reality of that, you know, big, bold statement easier to have it happen, fewer excuses, fewer barriers to entry, right? And so now it's all pushed forward to the point where you can literally just start talking on YouTube today. What if that's going to be your chosen medium? And just get going with it. You don't gotta apply for a license. You don't gotta make a pitch. You don't gotta apply for funding. You don't gotta look for government grants, right? There's a lot of this kind of stuff that people put in their own way as reasons why they can't get going on it yet, or reasons why they're hard done by, why it's never going to happen for them and stuff like that. But life just keeps wanting to prove those people wrong. Life just keeps wanting to go, oh, okay, I'll make it easier for you. How about that? Oh, still not easy enough. Okay, well, make it easier for you. How about that? Next thing you know, you're just going to like think it. It'll start typing it on the screen as you think it. And somebody's going to write a really great novel that way, while somebody else has got some excuse why it's not the right medium or something. You know what I mean? You know, it just really just keeps on pushing it more and more and more to the point where all of us individually on some kind of like, you know, metaphorical level, at some point you're going to have to stare into the abyss and just ask those big questions of like, who am I? What do I got to say? Yep. And we're moving into a world where you got to have something to say. So you better figure it out. Because if you haven't figured out what you got to say, attention spans aren't getting any longer. You know what I'm saying? And this whole idea that like, no matter what you're doing with your life, if you're living kind of in this Western society, Western civilization kind of part of the world, what's developing now is what we're doing now, right? Talking on YouTube or hosting podcasts, or just somehow taking what you do, what's your thing, whatever it is, somehow mythologizing it and spinning out a narrative that is your experience of it. That's now no longer like an optional thing you can do to get an edge marketing wise. It's starting to turn into like the ticket that's required. It's starting to turn into like the first thing you got to do to get in the game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because it's starting to be so common that if you're not doing it, so many other people are, that just there's no reason for anybody to pay attention to you. Right. That's even true. If you're just going to be like, you're going to be the #1 plumber serving this one particular neighborhood, you got to figure out a way to spin a yarn about the history of that neighborhood, or why that neighborhood's the best, or why you're so committed to it, or why you're so great for it. You got to be putting that message out, because there is no option anymore to just like be the guy that people know they can call to come fix their tub or whatever. Because, you know, eventually you can maybe just have a comfortable living doing that for a while, but somebody's going to come along with a better story to tell, or just a story to tell in that case. You know what I mean? I've seen it come up with almost every trade. And funny you mentioned that wrecker. There's a tow truck for hauling like 18 wheelers and that. And one came up, I recommended, and it was a guy got stuck. He calls this one, and of course this wrecker now even has his own YouTube channel. He's turned his job also into a channel. And he gets to go, the guy's got a tow out, and he says, yeah, you're pretty good. He goes, like, when we called you, my boss seen a couple of your YouTube videos and said you'd seem to know what you're doing. Yeah. And that just said it right there about what the field is like for anything you do. You're going to have to be your own TV show as well as your own. Yeah, that's exactly, you said it better than I did. And it's so much more succinct to put it that way. You have to be your own TV show on top of, and then blank. And that's a lot of whole new skills that a lot of people are not ready for.
Yes.
A lot of people haven't put a lot of attention and energy into developing. But like, you know, media literacy class, I took it as an elective in high school back in the day because I'm into this stuff. But like, if you don't have that critical eye and that sort of eye for that sort of thing, you're at a disadvantage now.
Right.
And so you better acquire an eye for those things, and you better acquire those skills, or you're gonna be left behind.
Definitely. It is.
And I mean, a lot of people are going to manage to keep their head in the sand and just keep trucking along like everything's, you know, going about things the same old way. But, you know, I've seen it with my own two eyes so many different ways that just like you think you know how everything's going to go, and then something's going to come out of left field and surprise you, and you couldn't have seen it come in. And so, you know, part of the whole thing about owning your own content and working really diligently at whatever is your thing is that if you know that there's going to be just stuff's going to come out of nowhere to surprise you anyway, if you're living that kind of life where you're adaptable and making use of surprises that happen in interesting ways already, then you're just so much better positioned to be able to roll with it when a challenge comes along, or just see a way to spin it into content. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's sort of what the big thing is now, is like if some kind of challenge comes into your life, instead of, oh, woe is me about it, you just got to be, oh, how can I make this an episode of my show?
Yeah.
Right?
That's right. And even the bad times become content.
Back in the day, right? Like I was spinning my stories and my comics, and I got to a point where one winter, you know, my rent was getting behind, and I'd already, you know, I was already 1 month behind, and I wasn't even going to be able to pay the next one, and it's coming up in a couple of days or whatever, and I'm just feeling really, I can't even focus to make a new comic book. What the hell am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And then I just had a picture of like what my life looked like at the time. I was like, well, that's it. I'll just make a comic book about what I'm going through right now. And I'll do it in this like marathon session over a weekend. And that'll be part of the sales pitch. It's, oh, I made this whole comic book over one intense weekend. It's a snapshot of my life right now. And of course that then launched sort of the whole thing about me maybe doing a character that's like my own comic book version of myself, getting into these wacky adventures, making these comic books and whatnot. Right. And yeah, that's also my version of when you encounter challenges, having that attitude of like, well, what can I do with this to turn into content? You know, back in the day, even before I had a smartphone or computer, it was like, I'll draw a comic strip about it.
That is so cool.
You want to step to me and give me problems? Well, boom, thanks for the content, bud.
That's right.
Live your whole way of approaching life at that point.
And the more it gets into it, I mean, that's what people are using for their content, and that's the ones that are really doing it. We're over them years of the 80s where everybody always had to be the hero and everything was fixed with a little talk at the end with Michael J. Fox, and the music went off and things were back to normal. Yeah. Audiences are smarter now. I always said people wanted a taste of reality TV. It came in 2000. We quickly realized it was anything but that taste was there for that, for real characters with real good times, real bad times, open and honest and raw. And YouTube is finally really giving people a chance to peer into people's lives in that way.
Well, I mean, take away all of the corporate politics around YouTube, and you know, there's a lot of things that we could get into in terms of people having an opinion on the direction the company has gone with its product in the last several years and all that kind of stuff. But strip all of that away, and what you're left with is just literally the greatest platform that's ever existed for like staking a claim, making yourself known, making yourself heard, right? And so like once upon a time, we'd sit down and watch TV after dinner. That's what people did. But now, I don't know how it is for you guys or in other people's houses. I don't know if I'm in the norm, but I'm all the time adding videos on YouTube to a playlist that's called Home on the Couch. And that's the videos, you know, when me and my wife are sitting in the living room, we don't have a single TV show that we watch anymore. Like I watch Game of Thrones, she doesn't, but even that's about it as far as TV goes. But we have all kinds of YouTube channels that we get excited when they put up a new video. Right? Some of them, they're a little slick, right? So there's like Bon Appetit magazine, they're Condé Nast, and they've got an office and a test kitchen in the World Trade Center building, and they run their YouTube channel out of there, and they do like really interesting videos. But even there, that's not a TV show, it's something that's online. So that's one that we watch. But then we also watch a guy who sits in his living room and has a set in his living room, and he doesn't even have a channel big enough to live off of. So he, you know, gets Patreon donations, and that's how he thrives. And he just sits in his living room talking about Disney parks news. Gets into the minutiae of it. You know, we just heard that the third Dumbo on the ride is getting his hat touched up with paint today. They'll get into like just this kind of minutiae, right? But it's like
You couldn't go on TV with that kind of stuff, but you can go on YouTube, and
That's right.
people like us will watch it, right? Or just you can get into the minutiae stuff like that, or like getting real deep about, like, I watched a video, it was like half an hour long video of a guy just talking about all the different synthesizers that were used in Uptown Funk. And it's just a guy who's into synthesizers making it, and he's got a little bit of a production flair, so the video was fun to watch, and he was a good host, and you know what I mean. TV would never ever have brought that to me.
That's right.
Because anybody can just bypass that whole system and just do it themselves now. That stuff exists, and I just, you know, I feel like we're all richer people.
Yep.
We should all be walking around being super geniuses and experts in our field all the time. There's no excuse why anybody isn't.
Yep.
Except that, you know, the corporations want you to get sucked back into their ecosystems and keep watching their slick produced content, and they're gonna, you know, figure out new ways to co-opt every new thing that comes along, and all the way down the line. But the new norm is there's an audience for everything, and whatever you want to hear about, somebody's talking about, right? And whether it's whether the corporations can successfully co-opt that or not at a certain point doesn't matter, because it's all about people connecting, making their own community, redefining what community even means, right? And it's a very exciting, it's almost, I feel like the changes that are taking place in the world over my lifetime, and what's going to happen sort of in the next kind of, you know, 80 to 100 years, it almost feels like it's a show that I'm just lucky enough to have been able to get a ticket for it. You know what I mean? Like in all the times of history, this is when I would be born, when all of this amazing, huge, just like spiritual awakening kind of almost challenges are taking place, and it's an absolute thrill, and I love watching it happen.
Well, we had on a guest this fall, you probably know him, Doug TenNapel, the creator of Earthworm Jim, the comic book.
Oh yes, oh yeah, I was obsessed with that game, and I love the art style of it, and I wish that there would have been a movie back in a certain time. I said, oh, I see how the movie needs to be so good, right? You get the suit, and they're gonna make it real, and they're gonna CGI the head, and this all kind of thing. Oh yeah, I was really into that for a long time.
Yeah, he was our guest this fall, and we were talking to him about these whole things and why he left Hollywood back to Tennessee, and why he went to YouTube. And I mean, it's a phenomenal story, and spoke to where things are at in the world right now. And he just did his latest comic book. He did a limited release, you know, better done, pure paper, hardbound. Did it himself, and he drew the whole comic book every day in front of the people that were going to buy it. So they would log on, watch him, and he would invite people up. He'd just throw his hangouts in the chat and invite all these young artists to come and draw with him for an hour while he was drawing this comic book. And then when it's done, he's binding it and sent it to everybody like that. And he said it's been the best experience of his life.
And he got paid.
How many people are just like, I mean, there's literally channels that I watch and channels that I enjoy and I subscribe to, where it's literally just people like pointing the camera at their computer screen because there's a blog post, and they're literally just like reading it and commenting on it as they read it.
Yep.
And camera pointed at the screen, and but because they have an interesting take on things, it's compelling. You cannot get any less polished than that.
Yes, but
but it works because it's if you got something of value to say, then somebody will want to hear, and people's got stuff that needs to be said, and so everybody should get out and figure out what it is they got to say, because for some people it's been so long since they felt like they had a right to say anything, or that they felt they had anything of value to add, right? Because like there's so much that works to get it into our heads that we're, you know, who the hell are we? We're just, you know, nothing. We're just little. We're just small. We're just a cog in the machine kind of idea.
Well, most of our parents were brought up in that age up until recently. They were thought to have much to say. You kind of did the grind. You worked at GM, wherever you were, you did your years. That was for a couple of select ones who got to university, became politicians. They do the speaking. You know, it was kind of left to them. You know, it's not my... And now everybody's finally realized they have a voice, and I love it. And I'm seeing people, even in their 60s and 70s, that are getting on here now and starting to live stream and doing what they do and putting the passion into it.
When these people in their 60s and their 70s, the ones who can actually start making a go of actually building a persona online, it goes like gangbusters, and people love it, right? There's that one woman, I forget her name, damn it, I forget her name, but this woman's like in her 90s, and her whole gimmick on Instagram is that she's so old, but she still dresses so fly that she's going to steal everybody's man, and that's her whole shtick. It's like her in her 90s dressing fly and posing with like chiseled Chippendale dudes kind of thing, right? And that's her whole shtick. But just like there's this whole thing that people talk about where we've kind of like lost the respect for our elders that people in other cultures and other times have had. But maybe this is how the respect for our elders thing happens, is that people in the 60s and 70s start coming online and saying, listen, you know, I've got a great, interesting perspective that brings all these years to bear on it, and this perspective that, you know, you might not have thought of, and, you know, just different people at these different phases of their lives can add something to the narrative, and give perspective, and that's, I think, where, you know, that whole dichotomy is going to change, and, you know, we're not going to just leave our elderly just out to pasture, because we want to know, tell me the story of, like, you know, the internet coming out, because, you know, here's an interesting thought for you. I did the math and I figured out that the next U.S. election that happens this year is going to be the first one that people will be able to vote who were not even alive yet when 9/11 happened. Okay, so, like, big things that we remember, that, like, the world changed in ways that, like, we could never ever try to explain. Now people are going to come along who actually need to explain to them because they weren't there, but they're just fellow adults in the world. You know what I mean? Like, so people who've got a broad perspective are going to have a lot of value to add to, you know, the overarching narrative and dialogue as we go. And that's why it's so exciting to see, you know, people in that age, that age range that you mentioned, people in the 60s and 70s who embrace the social media, you know, start telling a narrative, start building a persona, and start doing well with it. It's always great to see when those accounts start doing well.
We got a great vlogger from Toronto, actually, A. Joe. He's fantastic, and he says, Sean Ward, 50, feeling 20, looking 60, working like 19. LOL.
We should all be so lucky as all of that.
I will send you his link after. Yeah, he's a fellow Torontonian, and he just got into vlogs about a year ago, and he's doing some amazing work, like really cool vlogs.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to check him out. Make sure you send me his link when the show's done.
And that's one of those things too, like, you know, he's given his own perspective onto it, and I love that, you know. And it's really invigorating, and not like you would usually see a 50. I don't think 50 is old, but even 15 years ago, if you had somebody 50 and 50 now, was two completely different numbers. And social media, I think it's played a huge part in that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, at the end of the day, it's you can just be whatever you want to be online, right? And you don't have to put your picture on there if you don't want to, or use your real name or anything. And there's just you be whatever you want to be and represent yourself however you want to represent yourself. And it's just like, you know, how much even when you're not showing off who you are, or you're representing a different persona, there's still that level where it has to ring with some truth in order for it to be anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's interesting to see what people do with it, running in that direction.
But what do you think about the content that people oftentimes say that they actually are making content? They're not living life. They are basically making stuff in order to record it or to post it. So we kind of go farther and farther away from reality of life, and are creating the things around us just to be able to post about them.
Well, I mean, this is the, you know, the darker side of it, right? The Black Mirror side of it is where, for all of the wonderful things that the technology is doing, and for all of the opportunity that's opening up and whatnot, there is that dark side of it where people abuse it, or you know, don't know how to put it down. And so I'm a really big believer in this idea that one of the most important things that you can do to maintain your whatever your thing is, but for it to maintain for a long time and to be something that's going to do well for you over the long term, you've got to be unplugging. You got to have your no screen time. You got to be having at least some kind of discipline about being able to put it down. So, like, when I go home, you know, I don't like it. Sometimes emails maybe go unanswered until the next day, or maybe sometimes a couple of days, or maybe if I was a little bit more aggressive about it, I'd have more Twitter followers or whatever, you know what I mean? But, like, there is that side of it where we're making what we're making. And I think it helps too that, at least in my case, we're not trying to be responsive to what's happening in the moment, right? We're not doing news, we're not doing commentary, right? We're just coming up with a funny idea, and the stuff that we're making, it's going to be funny next year, it's going to be funny a couple of years from now still, because it's not tied into, like, you know, fleeting stuff. So it's a lot easier then for someone like me and somebody like the group that we have here to be able to make stuff that we can make, give it the focus, it's done, it's over there now, and leave it alone and go engage with life for a while. So that when we have, you know, like Lee's birthday party was on Saturday night, and there's no pictures out from that Saturday night party, because it was just, you know, a little private thing for us, and like we just weren't thinking of it, right? And sometimes there's been times when I thought I wish I did think of it more, or maybe had that drive to always be posting more, but then
time went by and I started seeing the kind of people who, they had some success on YouTube, and then they parlayed that into a following on Instagram, and then into Snapchat. But then every new app that comes along, they're trying to squeeze more time out of their day to be posting. And so eventually you're just spending so much of your time trying to make content out of every fleeting moment that's how you end up burning out. And we see it again and again and again where these different YouTubers, popular YouTubers come out in this news because they announced they're taking a break because they're feeling burned out. And the next one, the other one makes a video on the topic of being burned out and how to recognize the signs of burnout and all this kind of stuff, because they're not re-energizing, they're not refreshing, right? The fact is that we've sort of taken religion, sort of doesn't occupy that place in our lives culturally of like where people get meaning from, right? And we've tried to fill that hole with all different things, right? The way that we used to tell people what school was, we tried to make it that school fills that hole. No, that doesn't work. Okay, well, let's give the mass media a try. Okay, well, that doesn't work. And just people are like craving for meaning. And so if you're getting that juice from the social media and you're mistaking it for meaning, then yeah, of course, I could see why you'd go chasing after it. But it's almost like, if you ate an all Snickers diet, you'd be running with all the energy in the world to be getting so much done until you crash, right?
Right.
And it's the same kind of idea is that you've got to be like nourishing yourself on an intellectual and an emotional and a spiritual level. Otherwise, you're not healthy. And it's not healthy to be trying to squeeze content out of everything. So that's why there's a real big thing about like knowing what your thing is, because if all you're driven to do is to be famous, then you're going to try to take it in any form it'll come, and that's how you end up commodifying all your relationships. You don't have a sincere, honest relationship with any human being. You don't have any friends, right? You just have collaborators that you make videos with. We all play the role of going out together and pretending we're friends and having a good time on social media, be able to put up posts and get the likes and the clicks, and that whole thing, it just starts snowballing. But it in so many cases, it hits a wall, and that's why, because like you've got to be getting meaning, actual legit meaning somewhere along the way, and you've got to be taking breaks from whatever's your thing to kind of top up your meaning level, if that makes sense, if I can use that parlance. So when people are having that criticism about, oh, you're not really living, well, that's like saying that you're not really living if you buy tickets and go to the baseball game, right? You could make that case. Why are you watching a baseball game instead of going out and play baseball? Why are you watching a movie instead of going to the movies? Because there's something to be said for like relaxing. There's something to be said for going to the movies, right? Yeah. Also, or just to look the other way, you got to go to work, right? With somebody, well, a lot of people would say that going to your job is not living, but it's one of the sacrifices you got to make, right? There's a level where you got to sort of figure out. I mean, this is one of these where it's going to be unique for each individual. Where does that line exist for you between, putting work into, whether it's you're trying to make it your job or you're just happy for it to be a hobby? In any case, how much time you're going to put into it versus unplugging and actually spending time with your family, not looking at screens, by yourself even, right? How many people actually make a priority of getting enough time to just be alone? A lot of people either just they're from work to home to whatever, it just is not a thing that even enters their lives. A lot of people run really fast from having to be alone, right? But just being alone to just think and letting your mind wander and coming up with ideas and letting your thinking turn into abstract. And there's just a lot to be said for that kind of stuff that people don't make enough time for, and to their own detriment.
This is so well said.
Is it impatience of trying to be famous and make it?
Of course it is. That's a big part of it, I think, in a lot of those cases. Yeah. I mean, and I'm speaking with authority here because, that was me. I think we all kind of like, on a certain level, everybody kind of grows up and we watch movies and we consume media. And part of the reason why that is such a big deal in our lives is because there's something implicit to it, I think, where we're all watching it. And on some level, there's the sales pitch to it is, if just the right things lined up in just such a way, this would be you. You're going to get a turn at this someday, right? And I think that's sort of like what gets people to kind of buy into it, and the fantasy fulfillment level of it. That's that. A lot of people they grow up, and then you see you're rebelling against mom and dad or your teachers or whatever. So so you either start wasting a lot of time with partying, drinking, drugs, whatever, that kind of thing, or you're trying to prove something
to mom and dad, yo, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna be the biggest thing ever, right? So I'm gonna go out and my guitar and I'm gonna rock and I'm gonna show you. And then, you know, people become so impatient to be famous and have the success. Because part of it too is we're not patient creatures. We all want things to happen now. And especially if you're like giving it an honest go and you're making the sacrifice is not fun. And so there is gonna be moments where you're just like, when is it gonna effing happen? And you want it to happen faster. So yeah, so of course a lot of it has to do with the impatience of people trying to be famous, and you know, just that also that level of there's always going to be somebody who's willing to go harder, be meaner, be ruder, be more outrageous, say something worse, say something better, whatever, right? There's always going to be somebody willing to go a little bit further. So to get on that treadmill of just like chasing after the fame or trying to just pump out more content for the sake of more content to feed the algorithm, because more content, like that's just a treadmill I've never been interested in getting on. I've come close to it a couple times, but kind of thankfully had the wisdom to back off of it before I kind of got too carried away with it.
See, we do shout out nights here as well. We do twice a week, give channels a chance to be seen, and that we do as a game night. It's like a 70s tacky game show. We spin the wheel, call them out, we do all these things. And I get some channels up, and I know it's coming already, and every time they come up, I see a different channel they were before. And it's whatever seemed to take off from the guy the week before, they're that channel now. So they started off their channel, but let's say penguins. I love penguins. My video's going to be about penguins. Next time they come up, why do you have monster trucks up there? I don't say it, but I know exactly what happened. Somebody got a bunch of views last week with one. Now they're going to do that. And then 2 weeks later, there's something else. And it's like a ship that's zigzagging through a canal, and it's bound to hit the rocks every time.
Yeah.
There's this fear of, if I don't jump it right now and change, I'm never going to have a chance for this to take off. But they don't give a chance for their idea where their true passion is to really see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and
I see that all the time. I've seen it over and over and over again. I've even seen channels get really big doing the, you know, chasing trends thing, but then run out of steam because they couldn't keep up or missed a trend or whatever.
Right.
And that just all comes back to, you know, my whole message about kind of believing in yourself and betting on yourself and sticking by your vision, because that's what's going to last. And that's what you can do that nobody else can replace. Because, you know, if you're trying to crank out monster truck videos because you heard somewhere that the YouTube algorithm will start recommending your stuff more if you can get 5 videos a day out. So he's going to break your back to get 5 videos a day out for the sake of getting 5 videos a day out. Well, there's going to be somebody who's going to pay less attention to quality to be able to put out 6 videos a day. And okay, so now you're going to like lower your standards to try to compete and put 7, right? Like it never ends. And you're just going to keep like splitting hairs forever.
Right.
And the only thing you can do in the face of that is to double down on your own vision and pump the brakes a little bit and let people kind of, you know, whiz past you and stay zen about it when people are, what it looks like, zipping past you, because it's not so much that they're getting out in front of you as much as they're just having a little burst, and you're going to be surprised when you're, you know, sticking to your vision and you're running the race and you get way the hell down the road and, oh my God, I remember you zipped way past me way the hell back there. But I kept going. You ran out of steam, but I kept going, and now here you're going past them, right? And a lot of that goes on as well.
But has things changed since you started? Because I think the world has is spinning a bit faster, and the way you started 10 years ago on YouTube is a little bit different now. So is it something different now? Would you do something different now if you would be just starting?
Well, I don't know, because I think that I would still be doing what I was doing, which is just trying to, you know, make videos that are interesting for me to make, that I hope somebody, you know, that it resonates with them. And perhaps it's that I have a gift for actually accomplishing that when I set out to do it, whether it's, you know, getting people to stop to take a look at my comic book on the street, or clicking a video that because it came up in the recommendations on YouTube. Maybe that's just a thing that I've been able to, you know, be successful at, is, you know, making so I would like to think that if you Thanos snapped your fingers and my YouTube channel disappeared into dust, that I would just, you know, it'd suck, but I'd pick up tomorrow morning and I'd just think up a new idea and I'd just start doing something else, and I'd put work into it day by day, and eventually that would all add up to something that's bigger than the sum of the parts. And what do you know, I built it on the success. And that's just because I'm driven to just make stuff that I hope is meaningful. And at the end of the day, if I can make stuff that feels meaningful to me and feels like I hope other people will think it's meaningful, then mission accomplished, and turn around and make the next one as fast as you can, no matter how well the last one did or didn't do.
I've been playing your clips all along, and I've just put back the one with you got 480 million views. What's it like to have something that you made that you had fun doing, and it has 480 million views? Is that like a real accomplishment in the fact that it was something that you wanted to do, you had fun doing with it? Would you say?
Well, I mean, I don't want to try to flatter myself and make it sound like I'm comparing myself to, like, like the Beatles. But I mean, what comes to mind is just, to try to, on my scale, it's what feels to me what must feel like, if a classic rock band that made an album that's become a classic, and they can just, like, how that must feel to know that people are still enjoying it and consuming it, and that it's still changing people's lives.
Yes.
And people who have never heard it before are still hearing it, and it's still having the impact on them, right? Like, to a video like that just keeps on getting watched, and people keep discovering it, and it'll start to wane, and then has another viral spike again because it popped off in another part of the world. Like, it's so just like such a testament to all this stuff that I've been talking about the power of the individual to have reach and impact lives around the world because of the technology that's available to us. And yeah, it's an amazing feeling, and I love it, and I feel blessed to be able to do it, and it's an incredible feeling. And on a lot of levels, it's the vindication of, like, a lot of stuff that I swore I was going to do, or ways that my art was going to be consumed, having dreams that I'm going to make entertainment stuff that people are going to watch all over the world and whatnot. And, it's going out and it's doing it, and it's a hell of a feeling. Yeah.
And you're not spiteful, but at the same time too, there's got to be a little bit in you too. There's got to be some people along the way that said your dreams were unobtainable or made you feel a little bit like you couldn't do it.
Oh yeah, big time.
There's got to be a bit of vindication on that side as well.
Well, no, definitely, absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who, what I used to do is when people doubted me or whatever, I would draw them into the next comic book, and that's how I'd show them. But then sometimes they'd end up seeing it and not take it too kindly, so I had to do a little bit better.
That's awesome.
No, in serious, yeah, there is that level of, like, being able to enjoy having proved that I knew what I was talking about. But I've also been doing it long enough that that's, for the most part, happened in places where I needed it to happen. I've kind of had that closure in a lot of areas. And so, I mean, part of the growth of it, I think, is that I've been able to move on from that and take it to another level of, like, okay, you've got that out of your system. You're not driven to prove anything anymore. So what are you driven to do?
Right.
Make people smile, make people feel the world's an okay place, make people feel like tomorrow's going to be better. Put a little smile on people's faces. Maybe somebody's in the hospital and, they like Deadpool, so they got one of my videos shown to them and it made them laugh, right? It's that kind of thing is just like, you have no idea the different ways that your work is impacting people. And so it's fun to think that it's impacting people on all kinds of different levels and keep making it in the hope that it's impacting people on more meaningful levels all the time. You know what I mean? And so something like that just keeps getting watched year after year after year all around the world. Yeah, it's just, this is brand new. For that to even be a thing that exists is still, relatively speaking, brand new in this world.
I love it.
It's nuts.
I love it.
You also are doing a charity work, speaking about giving back to people. I know May 4th is coming up.
Oh, May 4th is right around the corner. Don't remind me. Oh my God, it's coming up.
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding with you. I actually just had the ticket link. Finally, the ticket link just went live. No, we do, back before my YouTube success happened, one of the things that I got involved with was, every May 4th, you would see people start posting on their social media profiles, "May the 4th be with you," or you'd say to your friend, "Happy Star Wars Day," because you want them to say, "Why is it Star Wars Day?" And they'd be like, because May the 4th be with you. So I went, what? I'll bet you one day people are going to, like, have events, and every May 4th is actually going to be called Star Wars Day, and people are, like, going to go to Star Wars Day events and whatnot. And you know what? If we do one right now, we'll be able to say forever that we did the first one ever. So we did.
Oh my God.
And in 2011, we did Star Wars Day Toronto for the first time. And it was literally the very first May 4th Star Wars Day event that ever happened anywhere. Because before that, it was just like the internet meme of saying, "May the 4th be with you." So we put on an event, costume party, trivia contest and whatnot. And we did it in 2011 and again in 2012. We started raising money for charity. And, from the first time we did it, we raised, $150, not a whole lot. And then the second time, maybe more like 300. But then last year we gave them $6,000.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the year before that was 3,000. So it's like doubling, right? And so this year we want to make it, our needs are modest. We don't even need it to double again. We just want it to be 10,000 this year.
So that's our fundraising goal for this year, is for it to be $10,000 that would go to Make-A-Wish Canada. And yeah, Star Wars Day, that goes on because it's like a gift to Toronto, right? I spend a lot of my own money on that, and it gets expensive, to be honest. But I do it because I want it to be a certain. Again, it's my obsession with just making things that have to be a certain way, and it has to be me, because if I don't do it, it's not going to exist, and it has to exist, so I'll do it. And it's kind of one of those that this like this whole just the whole idea of like Star Wars Day in Toronto. If we do it, it'll be the first one, and then we got that locked in forever. And then one day I want it to be this like bucket list thing that Star Wars fans is like on their list of fan things. You know, one day you got to go to Toronto for the Star Wars Day celebration and whatnot. And yeah, just the people that come, and they got the costumes and the whole atmosphere of people celebrating this thing, and it's a family event, so all different ages can come, and you see how it transcends, you know, from grandpa to dad to the kid, and back up and down again, and how it touches so many lives. And then to also have it be the charity fundraiser aspect looped into it, and just having that it be that sort of like thing of just like it touches so many lives, and it makes so many people happy, and it brings so much good into the world. And as it does more good, it fans out its, you know, visibility and how much reach it has, and so that brings more people into it, and now it's a bigger thing, and it just keeps on doing good, and it keeps on making people happy, and it keeps on being a positive force. And yeah, so like my schedule over the last several years has sort of just kind of crystallized around this idea that that's, you know, kind of the big. I do a bunch of fundraising things, but that's like kind of my big, you know, kind of charity involvement that I do over the course of the year is is Star Wars Day every year, and it's a lot of fun. And we get a lot of great press because everybody loves Star Wars. And this year we're doing it's a Saturday night, so it's going to be the craziest one ever, and I'm looking crazy forward to it.
And there's some from Toronto area here. They're asking where you're holding it.
Oh, it's going to be at the Rec Room, which is down on Bremner Boulevard, across from Ripley's Aquarium. It's a still a brand new state-of-the-art venue. That stage has only been being performed on for like a little over a year at this point. Big giant screen at the back of the stage, 500 people capacity. Yeah, and that's just the event space at the back of the place, because anybody who knows what I'm talking about knows what the Rec Room is, which is just a big, like, super insane, crazy video arcade with a bar and restaurant attached, and the food's great, and it's an old historic building that they've turned into this brand new, like, crazy lights everywhere. It's nuts. And we did Star Wars Day for the first time at that location last year. And it was the perfect spot, and everybody loved it. And this year is going to be nuts.
There he goes, because Sparky asked. He's a model railway guy, and he said so close to the train museum.
I'm posting the link to the ticket sale as well. So if anybody is in Toronto area,
anybody who's in Toronto area or is willing to travel. I mean, people come from far away, as like upstate New York and Pennsylvania, and like we had a couple from the U.S. that came out 2 years ago that drove up from the United States to get married at Toronto City Hall, and then come to Star Wars Day instead of having a wedding reception.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So we actually had to have them come up on stage and announce that they like had literally just got married and then came straight here like for their wedding celebration, and everybody cheered for them, and we got a picture with all the stormtroopers and stuff. It's crazy. But yeah, people now it's become that thing that like people travel for it and come from a long time away, and families look forward to it as an annual thing that they're all going to do, and
nice.
It's turned into something.
That's pretty cool.
That is amazing. Yes, guys, link is in the chat if you are in the area or if you're willing to travel. It's definitely worth it for sure.
worth traveling for, especially for this one, because it's on a Saturday. It's gonna get turned.
Yes.
We never had a chance to talk much before. I was just thinking of that. It's a tie-in for us because I know the characters in that. Do you know the TV show on History Channel Vikings by any chance?
I've heard of it. Yeah, I'm not really all that familiar with it. I haven't seen it, but
like Xenia and I met on a video game years ago called Second Life when she was living in Latvia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we never played it much. We got dropped in the same portal where you first meet. We stayed friends. But we were together for years and decided to get married. We eloped. We actually went to Iceland and got had an actual pagan wedding.
Oh, no kidding! Wow.
And we took Helga and Floke's wedding clothes and had them remade downtown Montreal.
Cosplay Vikings. I never thought of it.
Yeah, we were kind of. That's why, as you were saying that, I'm like, well, yeah, I guess not Marvel hero, but yeah, we did kind of the same idea. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
We left the kids at home, and yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, I mean, if you ever want to do any new Star Wars costumes, make sure you come on and do it at Star Wars Day.
Oh, definitely. Hey,
Yes.
you know, you might just see us up there. Actually, it sounds pretty interesting.
Yes, it does. We have a couple questions if
Yeah,
I can squeeze in.
sure.
We had a question. Do kids get excited when they see you on the street? Like, can you actually do the filming, or they all are running around you?
Well, if we're doing filming on the street, yeah, kids are gonna go nuts. It's like Spider-Man comes whipping around the corner or whatever. In fact, it's like one of the biggest challenges of doing stuff in the streets is how often you're getting stopped. There are people not even asking for picture, just walk right into a shot with their camera in selfie mode, and they're just like, yeah, it's cool. It's a challenge. But and then when you first started asking the question, I thought you were asking like in terms of like, do they get excited when they see me? Like it's like they recognize me. And
Do they?
that's more like at the when I go to the Comic Cons and if I go up to somebody in a great costume and say, hey, can I get a quick shot of you for my video? And they'll say, oh, you Sean? And I'll say, yeah. Oh, I watch your videos, dude. And like it'll give me props and
That
whatnot.
must be
Like,
so
when
amazing.
that started happening, that started feeling like the dream was coming true, because like that's, you know, big superhero nut, kid that loves entertainment. Like, you know, the big dream of mine was to hopefully do something that would make me the kind of person that's like at those Comic Cons as a guest and whatnot, right? And so like when I first started getting recognized like that, I wasn't a guest yet. I had the media badge, but people started recognizing me, and it's like, oh, I'm on my way.
That is awesome, though. The feeling must be awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
We also we had from a Joey. What about? Oh, let me find it here. Do you think Canadians have an edge somehow on comedy? Like Lauren Michaels thought so. What do you think about it?
I could see that being true on the level that, you know, because it's so much harder to make it from Canada, which is why so many Canadian talent goes to the US, that you have to be hungrier to be able to make it because you're at that disadvantage already coming out of the gate. Also, you can't say too much about the fact that we spend so much of our time stuck inside because the weather is inclement. You know what I'm saying? So like when I go to California, I love hanging out there. And if I can go out there for like 2 weeks or more, spend a really long time to just like plunk down there and stay there for a while. Oh man, it's a vibe. You get with it, and you get, it's real easy to get used to because they don't have winter. So it's just a much more laid back thing of just the whole lifestyle is, you know, I'm going to go surfing at 10, and then I got to get to a meeting at 1 o'clock. And I hope that's quick because then I'm going to go meet the friends at 3. And like
Right.
your work and your play is just, it's so much easier to have them kind of go into each other. Whereas we more have the thing of like, you know, it's winter, it sucks, you don't want to go out anyway, so this is hibernation mode. You do all your like thinking and all your like, you know, hard kind of drilling in kind of work during that period. And then summertime is when you're out kind of like showing the work and being seen and you know, maybe dare to dream, taking some time off, you're going to a cottage or whatever, right? And having that wild swing between like, you know, those hibernation months versus those interacting with the world months, that does something too to the mind of a Canadian.
True.
Especially the mind of a creative person with aspirations on doing something big.
That's very well said, actually. I like that.
And Rob Random asked that his daughter creates amazing characters and writes really good stories. What would be your suggestion for somebody who wants to start off in a comic book world?
Well, there's no substitute for like just getting going with it, right? And creating content. It's in any kind of, anything that involves being creative, being an artist in any way. Comics, it's easier even in a certain way to do what I'm describing because it's so obvious. You're painting a painting, right? It's a lot harder to tell, I think, when it's done because you can always just add another brush stroke or this just doesn't look perfect yet. I don't know, I'm not a painter, maybe I'm not relating it well, but you get what I'm saying, right? That there's this thing where you can just sort of like slave over it forever and baby it forever. But the nature of comics, because it's consumed so quickly versus how long it takes to make it, there is a certain amount of like economy to it that you have to let it not be perfect and just move on, because you could just, if you spend too long on it, for how long it takes somebody to just read a page of comics, it's not really worth slave over it, because the comics page, maybe somebody will put it up as art on their wall, but it's not what it's for. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Same way somebody makes a painting. So when you're doing comics, it's almost like that's the most superior medium if you have any kind of like visual flair, because the whole point is to turn around as much of it as you can, as fast as you can, and just let it, just trust that there's a process there and you're going to get better as you go. So what I'm trying to say to this person who's says that their daughter is just getting started with the comics is that if she's listening to this, the message is like, don't spend a whole lot of time doing character designs and different treatments of the logo and thinking up titles and no. Work paid issue 1, page 1. Do a 1-page story that has a complete story in 1 page, because then you've got a work. That's a work that you've done. That is a commodity now. That is work that you have completed. And now you've got the boost of like, oh, I finished one. Let's make another one. Maybe this time I'm going to throw myself a challenge and make it 2 pages. Dare to Dream, right? Okay, well now you've got 3 pages of content in the amount of time that you might have just spent. Oh, I gotta make sure that my anatomy is just perfect, or I'm gonna work on my poses. Work on your poses while you're working on the pages, right? Whatever it is that you're trying to get good at, make that the focus of whatever that page is about. But be telling stories all the time. And that's the advice for the comics people, is just be making comics pages and let that be where you're getting good, and let that be where you're practicing. It's just like, be telling stories, be throwing yourself easy wins. That's a big part of it too, is throwing yourself easy wins. It's really easy to be kind of just like setting yourself up for success and to give yourself, a lot of times all it takes to kind of get going with something is just a little bit of boost of confidence. And a real easy way to get a boost of confidence is to finish something.
Do you ever get to draw yourself?
To draw? Well, I draw all the time, right? Because I've got an iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil, and it's one of my favorite pieces of technology ever because it's just so fun to draw on it. I don't get to like make comics the way I used to anymore, and that is something that I'm chagrined about. And I would love to be able to make comics, but just like there definitely was a point where I had to like make that conscious choice to sort of let the comics dream, if not die, at least let it go on the back burner for a while. Because when YouTube wasn't making me any money yet, but the channel was just like in the very infancy stages of starting to do well, I had the idea for a long time that what I was doing with the YouTube channel and why I was working with the superheroes is I'm going to have it be my calling card. So since I'll never make any YouTube money anyway, this will be my calling card, and this is how Marvel and DC will call me to work on the comic books, as they'll see my videos and go, oh, this guy knows what he's doing with the characters. Things did not work out that way. Instead, the videos took on a life of their own, and there came a point where it's just like, I got to stop screwing around with comics because it's taking time away from the videos.
But do you see eventually you could have your own comic book like you?
Oh, I definitely want to. I mean, I'm actually working on something right now that's going to involve, the people that are like me and my friends that are on the channel. We're working on a project that's going to be out for Fan Expo. It's going to have a comics element to it, and is going to sort of step up to sort of this. Now we're getting back to the way my creative way of being back when I was doing my old comic books, and it was about this character that was me, based on myself, kind of telling this fictionalized cartoon version of my own life and how I make the comics and whatnot. Is that I'm working with a guy to put together sort of a magazine project that's going to have some comics in it, and the whole thing with those comics is sort of exploring this idea of like us as ourselves, not playing those characters. But if you see us in those costumes, it's because we're ourselves with the costumes on, and some kind of story that's going to involve us, us being ourselves as opposed to being about the characters, if that makes sense. Yeah. So we're starting to get the comics thing back rolling again. Part of that is because we want to, there's a whole kind of merch line idea that we've been workshopping for a really long time. And I just, back to pop art and loving making things and just everything having that kind of like mass produced feel and whatnot, just missing that and wanting to get back into that and have that kind of like that personal touch with people, and doing events in town, art events and whatnot, and then being able to take it on tour, and kind of the whole thing of being able to go to the Comic-Cons and whatnot opens up a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities for us. So yeah, we're doing a lot with the art, doing a lot with the comics, and maybe this is not exactly an announcement, but a hint that maybe there's a movie project that we're actually trying to get a head start on now, to Dare to Dream, be in production in 2020. That is sort of like movies like the Blues Brothers, like the Beatles' Hard Day's Night come to mind, these kinds of things. Maybe we're working on something that's kind of like in that direction.
That's exciting. Now I can't wait. Thank you for the insight. A little hint.
Yeah, there's an exclusive. There's a scoop.
The early kid in the girl who actually connected us with you through Twitter.
Yeah. She's been watching a lot of our videos for the last long time.
Yeah, and a special shout out to her. That was so amazing of her to do it. She was asking about your team. So if you can ensure just who are you working with? Who are the people on your team?
Okay, well, we have the group is like hashtag Team Superfunny is what the group is called. And so there's 5 of us that are like the main cast of the show. So it's like if the Sean Ward Show was like a television program, those would be the people who, like, in the opening credits when it freeze frames and has their name on the screen, that would be the 5 of us. So it's me, Lee, Violet, Mackenzie, and Perianne. And the 5 of us make up hashtag Team Superfunny. And that's the crew. And we have our kind of weekly meeting where we get together and we talk about, what videos we're making, what scripts we're working on, what new ideas we have, sort of just kind of have our kind of creative conference, business consultancy, and this kind of thing, put all of our heads together. And that's sort of the team that's for the last year or so been kind of crystallized at the core of this thing. And then we've got the additional, the cast beyond that is a lot of the people that have been around the show, some cases for years and years and years. And then in some cases less than that, because new people are coming all the time and we meet new people and people got great costumes and other people can act really well. So we'll put them in a costume and all this kind of stuff.
I love that.
Yeah, so it becomes a pretty big extended family. So that when we do the movie club where it's like I take everybody who's, I try to have it be anybody who's ever been part of any video that's gone over 1 million views. This is for them to come and I treat them and I take them to the movies. And when it's the biggest, it's about 32 or 36 tickets.
Wow.
What an amazing thing to do.
Cannot get that many tickets together for Avengers Endgame, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, speaking about that, isn't that exciting? Everybody's talking about that. I think even people who are not involved in any way or aren't fans, they're still talking about. So do you have tickets?
Oh, I do. I finally do have to. I did battle with the mighty monster beast that is the Cineplex ticketing system. And I say that with all the affectionate love in the world. I kid. No, but in seriousness, like it's a demand that was absolutely unprecedented. I don't think it's a stretch to say that these Avengers Endgame tickets is literally the most anticipated movie release ever, at least in this century. And it just, nobody was prepared for it. So Fandango in the US had people like a queue system where it's like you're on your phone, it's like your estimated wait time to be able to buy tickets is 2 hours. Do not close this window or you'll lose your spot in line, like this kind of thing. Cineplex, just like they couldn't handle it. Their website kept crashing and they're on Twitter all day telling everybody, we know it sucks because this is the day of all days when you guys are trying to get these fucking Avengers tickets, and this is the day that it crashed and our IT team is on it and whatnot. Nobody was ready for how big it was going to be. And I managed to finally get actually into the website and get tickets. So I'm going with a very small group on Friday morning at 10:30 of opening weekend. And then with a slightly bigger group on the Sunday night. For Friday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, forget it. The 8-hour battle to get tickets resulted that I was not getting any of those. And it was ugly. This is what I'm saying. I've been telling people for the last couple of weeks now that they're actually like, they're not seeing the opportunity. Take the conversation back to like a big lumbering company that can't adapt quick enough when the landscape changes. They could be getting hundreds of thousands of dollars right now because I cannot be the only one who these movies mean so much to me that any kind of edge that would let me get early access to the tickets, I'd welcome it, right? So let's suppose that Cineplex came out with some kind of membership package that was like $100 for the year, and with it you get, I don't know, a t-shirt and a water bottle, I don't know, a bunch of swag. But one of the perks of this membership is that you get first crack at the big event movie tickets. Mm-hmm. So you can take movies like Star Wars and Avengers, but then you could also throw in Hellboy and Spider-Man and Pokemon just to like pad it out and make it seem like a big deal. But a guy like me would be getting that membership literally just so that when Star Wars and Avengers comes, I'm not fighting for the tickets with, someone like me who spends thousands of dollars on their product every year, and I got just as much chance at it as somebody who doesn't care and just happens to go onto the website for something to do and notices the tickets are on sale and clicks the button. Like the fact that there's not something in place to like reward the loyalty and maybe even make a few bucks doing it is absolutely ridiculous to me, because the movie going world with these big event movies is changing faster and faster all the time. And I don't think we're all that far off of it being like a real big event when these movies come out, and like a ticket to something like Avengers Endgame opening weekend will be like, you know, $150 or whatever. Like how Steven Spielberg was saying that like we're not getting too far from a world where going to the movies is more like going to a Broadway show. Don't get a theatrical release anymore. It's just the really, really big event movies that do. And so it's a more special thing to go, and fewer of them go, and fewer people go, and it's a more expensive thing to go.
Right.
And all that kind of thing. Like that's definitely, it's not just that that's where it's got to go. It's the only way it could go. Right? Like you look at Walt Disney World in Florida, and they keep having to like raise ticket prices and change the whole structure of how they sell tickets based on this elaborate system of like demand, historical demand on that day, and blah blah blah. And it's not about them trying to gouge people. It's that they have to do it to try to control the crowds. Because otherwise, if they just leave the ticket $20 forever, then this is going to be crowded forever, and no one's going to have a good time, right? So it's like there is that element of just like you're almost doing people a favor by having the commodity reflect its true value, and the fact that they're not seeing the value, I just feel like they're missing an opportunity. But we are off in the weeds on a whole other tangent right now.
but it's true. We talked a while about affecting, and that like look at music. Years ago, the concert, if it broke even when they were done, they were happy. It was there to promote the album. Yeah. Now the music is there to promote the tours, and the tours has become more of a luxury event. VIP seating, all these different venues. The tickets cost 10 times as much because it's the only place to make money.
To adapt.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly exactly.
And these big superhero movies, well, the big event movies generally, but the superhero movies especially and specifically, I mean, what they mean to people and what they occupy in our kind of popular imagination is just different now even than it was when the first Avengers came out. And it's less than 10 years that this change is affected, right? The Marvel movies have really, it's the 1-2 punch really of the Batman trilogy, the Nolan Batman trilogy, and the Marvel movies kind of turn into what they've turned into. That kind of 1-2 punch kind of changed the whole, because I mean, it's not even just going to the movies anymore, right? It's like each one is an episode and a really big show that we're all following, and it costs $20 to go to a theater and see the new episode kind of idea, right? Right. So just like the whole nature of what these things are has changed and continues to change so fast that I almost wish that the theaters would hurry up and catch up just for my convenience, so I don't have to spend a whole day trying to get the tickets every time.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, that's for sure.
And Cardoso Media was asking me, he said, so true. Music is just a business card to sell the shows and tours, because that's the only place the artists really make money anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, just the whole, you know, music is so like commodified, and the value of it now because everything's on demand, and you know the streaming platforms have sort of asserted themselves as the middlemen now. But conversely, you go online and just like there is no, oh, what was that song? I thought I heard it on the radio once. Oh, damn! When am I ever going to hear it again? Now you just look it up on YouTube, and there it is.
Exactly.
And like my wife's pregnant with my first child right now. And
congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. I've thought about like there's going to come a time not very long from now when I'm actually going to have to try to explain to this kid the idea of like a song, keeping the radio on because there's a song you want to hear and you don't know when they're going to play it, but you want to hear it. So you're just going to leave the radio on and kind of wait for it to come on. Like, and she's going to be like, you didn't just put it on? Like, why didn't you just put it on? Well, you couldn't.
It's already starting.
What do you mean go out and buy it? Like you didn't put it on, right? That whole thing. Or like, like you see those videos of like kids react to, and it's like they show them VCR and they're like, 8-year-olds trying to figure out what a VCR is. That's going to be me not too long from now.
we have 3 children, 21, 12, and 8. And I've always said that they each grow up in a different generation now. That's how quickly things change.
Yeah.
And my daughter, when we go home to my parents, she cannot understand why you have to wait for a certain time to watch SpongeBob to come on. Because we're like you guys, there's no TV in the house. Everything is on demand, Even a mouse is kind of hard for her. More, I mean, she can use it, but she's more of a touchscreen child versus even the 21 or the 12.
Yeah, and hopefully, so a child like that grows up, and now me as about to be a new dad, what the challenge I got to step up to is like, with this infinite choice comes almost infinite responsibility for like, how do I, what's going to be my approach to encourage this child to, take on the responsibility and discipline of becoming an interesting person when it's just so easy to just passively consume, you know what I mean? But that's, again, getting into flowery topics that we don't really have time to unpack.
But all great topics nonetheless. Enjoying it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, thank you so much.
Speaking of a pregnant wife, yeah, I'm probably going to have to get going back to her pretty soon.
Thank you so much for all your time. That was amazing.
And if anybody heard this and anybody just gave them any kind of, even just not even an idea that they can execute, but just the idea that they can execute, that's within their grasp to execute, then I'm happy to have done it, because that's the message that I want to put out there, is that, you know, I've always had this idea that people in life, the artists, are the closest that we come in life to real life superheroes, because the creative vision is so powerful it amounts to being a superpower. And then you can get fanciful with it, where you look at it like all the things that get in the way, the excuses that people make for why they never get started or why they postpone pursuing their dreams, all of those laziness and distraction and procrastination. That's like, you know, that's the Joker and Penguin and the Riddler, like the Rose Gallery, you know what I'm saying? And conceptualizing it like that, and seeing just the whole thing of just trying to lead a life of worth and meaning as this superheroic epic challenge that is your big quest that you're on. That's how, you know, it's helped me to feel like I matter, to put it in those kinds of terms, you know what I mean?
I absolutely love that.
That is awesome. Well, thank you.
Great words to leave on. And once again, for me as well, thank you so very much for tonight. Yeah, it was such a great conversation.
Yeah, it was really great to make the acquaintance of you guys online, which is how we ended up putting this together, and is happy to finally do it. I look forward to checking the episode out, and yeah, keep on rocking and rolling.
Hope we can keep in touch.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we got Twitter, and we're talking on there all the time anyway, so just keep it up, and we'll be checking in on each other all the time.
Sounds great. And you never know, I have an inkling thinking about maybe heading up to Toronto for
yes,
there you go.
Sounds like that.
For May the 4th.
Oh, sounds good.
So you
sounds
never
good.
know. I might
right.
see you sooner than later.
Well, make sure you bring your dancing shoes, because that's going to go late.
Yeah.
It's Saturday night.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you so
Thank
very
you so
much.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great one. Take care.
You too. See ya.
Oh my God, guys, how awesome was that? Take care.
Oh, yes. That was amazing, guys. And I know you guys had tons of questions as well. You know what? You can always connect with Sean on Twitter. Sean Ward, at Sean Ward. All his social media and his channel, his vlog channel as well, is down below in the description. So you can always check it out and always ask him questions there as well.
Guys, what an inspiring night once again, you know. There's somebody with, once again, if you do not know Sean, you definitely have probably seen his videos somewhere along the line. At 3.4 million subscribers, his biggest video is 480 million. And, you know, just comes down and sit and talk with everybody, and that, I think that is so commendable of a true YouTuber spirit. So.
Oh, definitely. So many golden nuggets, you know, wisdom and fresh perspective onto YouTube.
Yes.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was amazing. Lots of great people here in the chat as well. Thank you for all the questions.
I want to say thank you to everybody, too, for all the kind words through it. And the guys, you guys are absolutely awesome. I'm glad you took a lot away from that. It makes it so enjoyable when everybody's participating. So,
and a special thank you again to the early kitten, who we thank you profusely for giving us this opportunity, connecting us very boldly on Twitter with Sean. That's thanks to you. We had Sean today, so guys, go check out the early kitten.
And Finders Beepers History Seeker says, just got back from a £23 million mansion where a James Bond film was filmed. Just thought I would pop in and say hi before bed. I know it's late for you. I hope you had a fantastic time. If anybody's just joining in though now, if you didn't get a chance to watch it, you might want to try to come back at some point and rewatch this, because this is inspiring to any YouTuber. I think anybody who's been here long will definitely say that.
Fresh
Sean.
Perspective, yeah.
Yep, and I mean, somebody who started off not handed to them, that is work, guys. He's worked for everything he's got on here.
Definitely. Don't forget to like and share if you haven't yet, and come back when it's uploaded and leave a comment. Maybe leave a comment. Which is your favorite superhero? Which is your favorite superhero movie, and why? Leave that in the comments below after the video gets uploaded.
And guys, I just wanted to say about that, when working your way up on your own, you see, he even talked about his lulls and that was something I hope everybody that was here really heard, that we all get those by times, and he has gone through his fair share of them. So just bit of motivation when the times get down on here. If you really love what you're doing on here, stay with it. That's the biggest message of all. So thank you guys so much. Tomorrow night we're going to be doing a live demonstration on rebuilding a channel, or part of it. So that's going to be really interesting. We're going to have Philly Drones on with us. He's quite the character. He's lost, don't quote me on it, I think he's lost somewhere around almost close to 400 pounds. And yeah, he's a very inspirational guy. We're going to talk to him as well. We're going to help him with his channel, because now with this new rule of you can't live stream under 1,000, his stick is that he goes out every morning and films the sunrise, which by losing the weight he was able to do, and now he can't do anymore because of the 1,000. So he wants to build his channel up so he can get over that part. So.
And we want to help him to revamp his channel. So, of course, we're going to, as always, answer all your questions on Tuesday Tech Talk, but also going to go through the case study and the revamp of the channel live. That's something new and first here. So I hope you enjoy that tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern.
So, guys, you've always been asking, how do you figure out tags? How do you go about it and that? This is your chance to see it being done firsthand, so you're not going to want to miss it. Thank you so much for being here tonight. You guys are absolutely, well, what can I say? You're just the cream of the crop. And I had to we were having trouble tonight. I deleted our outro by accident instead of the intro. So we got nothing to go out to. So that is going to be a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end it off on Sean's page, just so we can have a minute or two so everybody can say goodbye. So you guys can do that. And we'll see you guys in... Hey, less than 24 hours, we'll all be together again. So much love to you. Thank you so much. Have a great one. Be good now.